His name is Gu Qingfeng. He is an ordinary transmigrator. He works as a jailer at the Great Flame Dynasty Demon Quelling Bureau. Today, he came to check on the demons imprisoned here, as usual. Unexpectedly, the demon imprisoned this time is a little corpse charmer. She pitifully begs Gu Qingfeng to let her out, promising to do anything if she is released. Her voice seems to have a magical power, making Gu Qingfeng irresistibly thirsty and parched. Fortunately, as a transmigrator, he has seen all kinds of seductive beings in his technologically advanced era. To him, the little corpse charmer is at most like an internet celebrity with a beauty filter. He can resist her charms. He also realizes that he has fallen under her spell. If he opens the cell, she will drain his blood. Many colleagues at the Demon Quelling Bureau have already died at the hands of this corpse demon. He does not wish to follow in their footsteps, so he immediately shouts, "Audacious demoness, I can tell you're not human at first glance. How dare you try such simple seduction tricks on me?" Saying this, he decisively turns to leave. Seeing Gu Qingfeng walking away, the little corpse charmer decides to use her most powerful trick. She stands up from the ground, transforming into a charming and authoritative woman. In a commanding tone, she orders Gu Qingfeng to open the door. Gu Qingfeng finds it hard to resist her commanding voice. He hadn't expected the little corpse charmer to be so versatile. It seems a shame not to look back. As he hesitates, deciding whether to look back, the sound of a whip cracking suddenly breaks his resolve. The little corpse charmer, wearing black stockings and wielding a whip, asks Gu Qingfeng if she looks beautiful. Faced with the temptation of the black stocking, Gu Qingfeng is in a dilemma. He knows it's the demon's charm and he shouldn't look back, for looking back would mean falling into her trap, but not looking at the black stockings seems a waste. So, he convinces himself, what's the harm in just one look? This is the Demon Quelling Bureau after all. The Demon Quelling prison is full of protective formations and seals. As long as I don't open the cell door, I'll be safe, and there are heavily guarded soldiers outside. Even if something goes wrong, they can rescue me in time. It's okay. After all, in front of black stockings, nothing else matters. Black stockings are the eternal god. But just by looking back once, Gu Qingfeng becomes deeply entranced and unable to extricate himself. He even voluntarily opens the cell door and walks in. Seeing the cell door open, the little corpse charmer stops pretending. She reveals her ferocious nature, pouncing towards Gu Qingfeng, biting fiercely at his neck, but it's as if she bites into a stone, nearly shattering her teeth. At that moment, a system alert rings in Gu Qingfeng's mind. Host detected to be under imminent attack by a demon. The system to get stronger when attacked by a demon is now activated. You have been attacked by a corpse charmer. Defense increased by 1. With the system alert sounding, Gu Qingfeng regains consciousness. Wondering where the voice is coming from, he turns to see the little corpse charmer walking out of the cell. He screams in terror, "A ghost!" and scrambles towards the exit of the cell. But the little corpse charmer is not about to let him go that easily. With a leap, she lands right above him, then bites fiercely into his neck. Gu Qingfeng instinctively feels doomed after being bitten by the little corpse charmer. But then, the familiar system alert sounds again. You have been attacked by a corpse charmer. Defense increased by 1. Hearing the system alert, Gu Qingfeng smiles. The voice wasn't an illusion after all. There really is a system. He then asks what functions the system has. The system replies, this system strengthens the host when attacked by a demon. Its sole function is literal. Any demon cannot harm the host in the slightest, but will only make the host stronger. Seeing the system's response, Gu Qingfeng bursts into laughter. With this system, he can now walk sideways in the demon quelling prison. However, before he can fully recover from his excitement, the little corpse charmer swoops at him again. This time, Gu Qingfeng doesn't indulge her. He slaps her in retaliation and coldly says, "You almost scared me to death. Change back and give me back the young lady." Hearing this, the little corpse charmer is dumbfounded. Once she realizes what's happening, she gets furious. "Despicable human, how dare you disrespect me? See how I deal with you." Saying this, she lunges at Gu Qingfeng again, grabbing his neck and slamming him hard onto the ground. System alert, defense increased by 2. Seeing the alert, Gu Qingfeng, lying on the ground, is delighted. It seems that the corpse charmer is now enraged. Provoking her could further increase his defense. Thinking this, Gu Qingfeng decides to add fuel to the fire, taunting her with, "Didn't you eat? Put more effort into it." Enraged by his words, the little corpse charmer roars and enters a red-eyed berserk state, unleashing a frenzy of attacks on Gu Qingfeng. Meanwhile, the system's alerts keep ringing in Gu Qingfeng's ears, continuously increasing his defense. But after a while, Gu Qingfeng starts feeling tired again, so he just lies down on the ground. Have the little corpse charmer hit harder. "I've been sitting too much these past few days. My back and waist are aching. This is a good time for a back massage. Don't be lazy. Put in all the effort you've got, or else I'll whip you." But as Gu Qingfeng's defense increases, the damage inflicted by the little corpse charmer decreases. So does the contribution to his skill points. This displeases Gu Qingfeng, so he slaps the little corpse charmer again, saying, "You're so useless." Then he lies down again, letting the little corpse charmer massage his legs. As a demon, the little corpse charmer has never been humiliated like this. She furiously hammers Gu Qingfeng, but it's all in vain. Instead, she ends up increasing his defense points significantly. System alert, congratulations. Host has reached reached the limit. Acquired talent, copper skin, iron bones. Hearing the system alert, Gu Qingfeng sighs. It seems you're no longer useful. Change back into the black stockings lady, or I won't be polite. The little corpse charmer pauses for a moment, but before she can respond, Gu Qingfeng coldly grabs her face, saying, why haven't you changed back yet? Don't my words carry any weight? Since you're so disobedient, don't blame me now. Saying this, he throws the little corpse charmer on the ground, ready to test his newly acquired copper skin, iron bone. He kicks her wildly, until the little corpse charmer, under Gu Qingfeng's pressure, reluctantly changes back into the lady with black stocking. But Gu Qingfeng is still not satisfied. Since you can't increase my defense anymore, dance for me. A cool one. The little corpse charmer stays silent for a while. Finally, she reluctantly performs. During the performance, Gu Qingfeng even instructs her on a few poses. Hours later, exhausted, the little corpse charmer collapses on the ground, gasping for breath, while Gu Qingfeng reluctantly leaves the cell. Before leaving, he instructs the little corpse charmer, remember the poses I taught you, practice them well. I'll come back to check next time. After instructing the little corpse charmer, Gu Qingfeng prepares to explore other areas of the demon quelling prison. The demon quelling prison is divided into 3 layers. The first layer imprisons low-level demons and evil spirits. The second layer holds mid-level ones, accessible only to yellow-rank demon exorcists and above. The third layer is for high-level demons, exclusive to mysterious rank and higher. Entry to the demon quelling prison requires a token, and only by becoming a yellow-rank demon exorcist does one become official. Gu Qingfeng, best, is a temp worker, so he can only wander around the first layer. But before he can open the next cell door, the guard outside informs him that it's time to change shifts. Gu Qingfeng responded affirmatively, then happily went off to change his clothes. While changing, he casually asked the system if self-training is effective, aside from being attacked by demons. Unexpectedly, the system replied with an ellipsis, leaving him completely baffled. Nevertheless, relying on oneself is better than relying on others. Gu Qingfeng decided to first visit the Scripture Vault Pavilion to look for a suitable cultivation technique for himself. After arriving at the Scripture Vault Pavilion, and after some selection, he found a book titled Iron Cloth Rope. Iron Cloth Rope, like copper skin, iron bones, strengthens muscles, bones, and skin. The two are incredibly compatible. Thus, Gu Qingfeng decisively chose the Iron Cloth Rope. After a simple registration at the front desk, he eagerly rushed out, ready to test its effects in the training room. But he had only been training for a short while when he suddenly opened his eyes. He hadn't expected to progress in cultivating Iron Cloth Rope so quickly. What takes others decades of painstaking effort took him just one day to master. Now, having mastered Iron Cloth Rope, it also perfectly conceals his copper skin, iron bones talent. So, after completing his cultivation of Iron Cloth Rope, Gu Qingfeng returned to the demon quelling prison for his shift. His colleague Zhang Zhang, seeing him, asked in shock, Gu Qingfeng, why are you so proactive today? You usually arrive half an hour late. Gu Qingfeng awkwardly smiled. Well, I've had a change of heart. I've decided to work hard to make up for the shifts you've covered for me these days. How about I come an hour early every day to take over? Hearing this, Zhang Zhang asked doubtfully, really? Meanwhile, he secretly wondered, did he take the wrong medicine today? However, after receiving Gu Qingfeng's affirmative reply, Zhang Zhang immediately put on a smile, calling him a good brother, and even promised to treat Gu Qingfeng to a drink sometime. After watching Zhang Zhang leave, Gu Qingfeng turned back to the empty prison with a satisfied smile on his face. Whose card should I turn over today? Soon, he arrived at a cell plastered with talismans and chained up. The cell was filled with a weird and mysterious aura. Gu Qingfeng instinctively reached out to touch it, but as soon as he opened the small window of the cell door, a bloodshot eyeball popped out. In the next second, Gu Qingfeng found himself in a place filled with birdsong and flowers, with a couple frolicking nearby in the rising red sun. Suddenly, the red sun slowly opened, turning into a giant eyeball, causing Gu Qingfeng to feel dizzy, as if he was in a sea of blood and mountains of bones, surrounded by a road paved with countless skeletons. 100-meter-tall Cyclops appeared before him and stepped towards him. Gu Qingfeng was sent flying by the tremendous impact of the foot. As the Cyclops reached out to grab him again, the system alert suddenly sounded. You have been attacked by an eye-demon. Soul strength increased by 10. Hearing the system alert, Gu Qingfeng instantly snapped back to reality, realizing he had just been under an illusion. Then, a voice came from the cell. My despicable servant, obey my command. Open the cell door. Gu Qingfeng was displeased to hear this voice, but he didn't react immediately. Instead, he wanted to see what kind of entity was imprisoned inside. So, he pretended to still be under control and opened the cell door, only to see a small winged eye demon. Just when the eye demon thought its illusion had succeeded, Gu Qingfeng suddenly slammed the cell door shut, leaving the eye demon completely baffled. I haven't left yet. Open the door. Gu Qingfeng looked calmly at the eye demon, then suddenly reached out, grabbing the eye demon's eye, and burst it. The eye demon screamed in pain from Gu Qingfeng's poke, cowering in a corner, questioning how he broke its eye technique. However, Gu Qingfeng replied, you're bleeding. Come, let me treat you. These words again infuriated the eye demon, who unleashed an illusion on Gu Qingfeng. In the next moment, Gu Qingfeng Qingfeng re-entered the illusory world, where the eye demon, transformed into a cyclops, sat on a throne, looking down on Gu Qingfeng as if he were an ant. It then commanded, "Despicable human, kneel." With its command, countless eyes appeared around, a formidable pressure enveloping Gu Qingfeng, almost compelling him to kneel. Just when he was about to give in, the system finally alerted, "You have been attacked by an eye demon. Soul strength increased by 10. With the alert, Gu Qingfeng's soul strength continually grew, soon breaking the limit, and he acquired pupil technique, illusory vision. After gaining the new skill, Gu Qingfeng eagerly wanted to try it out. He gestured towards the eye demon on the throne, and in the next second, reversed roles, taking the place on the throne. This turn of events completely dumbfounded the eye demon. It never imagined Gu Qingfeng would not only break its eye technique, but also take over it. Then, Gu Qingfeng snapped his fingers and returned to the cell once again. He picked up the eye demon and threw it out, then used 1,000 years of death as a warning. However, considering the eye demon had provided him with a new skill, Gu Qingfeng decided not to kill it, letting it rest for now, intending to return later. This statement scared the eye demon lying on the ground. Coming back again? Subsequently, Gu Qingfeng went to the scripture vault pavilion to research, learning that pupil technique, illusory vision, has two functions: controlling others and creating illusions. The caster can control the actions of the person under the spell, who will fall into an illusion created by the caster. The limitation of illusory vision is that eye contact is necessary, and the target's soul strength must not be higher than the caster's. Otherwise, the effect is greatly reduced or even nullified. The strength of illusory vision depends on the caster's ability, making it a skill that grows with the user. Gu Qingfeng thinks that with his current soul strength, he should have no problem dealing with martial practitioners in the energy-gathering realm, but it might be difficult against those in the inner energy realm. The way of the warrior is divided into 5 major realms: energy-gathering realm, inner energy realm, true energy realm, fierce energy realm, and innate realm. The innate realm is also known as Grandmaster. These 5 realms correspond to the 5 demon exorcist ranks of the Demon Quelling Bureau: Apprentice Demon Exorcist, Yellow Rank Demon Exorcist, Mysterious Rank Demon Exorcist, Earth Rank Demon Exorcist, and Heaven Rank Demon Exorcist. Each major realm of the Way of the Warrior has 9 sub-realms, from 1 to 9, with 9 being the peak. One can only advance to the next realm after reaching the 9th level of their current realm. Even with his talent of copper skin, iron bones, and iron cloth robe, Gu Qingfeng, who is at the 3rd level of the energy-gathering realm, would find it challenging to face an opponent in the inner energy realm. But he isn't disheartened, considering it's only been 2 days. The system has already made him invincible at his level. He wonders how strong he'll become if he continues for a few more days, or if he clears all 3 levels of the demon quelling prison. Suddenly, an elderly voice came from a neighboring cell. "Young man, come here." Gu Qingfeng, surprised by the proactive demon, approached the cell and opened the small window to check inside, finding an old man with a withered face, who asked if he came for talisman materials. While Gu Qingfeng wondered what talisman materials were, he saw the old man reach into his chest, tear off a piece of flesh, which then turned into tree bark, and handed it to him. This tree bark was an important material for making talismans. Thinking it was a gift from the old man, Gu Qingfeng reached through the window into the cell, leaving the old man stunned at the prison guard's fearlessness. He actually dared to reach his hand into the cell of an imprisoned demon, and Gu Qingfeng, seeing the old man not handing over the item, grew somewhat impatient. "Wasn't it a gift you were giving me? Are you giving it or not?" Hearing this, the old man revealed a cold smile and handed the tree bark to Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng, seeing that the old man handed him a piece of tree bark, was also a bit puzzled. Didn't the old man just mention something about talismans? Then he sniffed it and realized the bark smelled the same as the material used on the cell door for enchantments. He immediately understood what was going on. It seems this old man is actually a tree demon. His bark can be used to make talismans, and it looks like the Demon Quelling Bureau regularly harvests his bark. Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but admire. The Demon Quelling Bureau really has good methods. This is like a renewable resource library, since the bark could be used to make valuable talismans. Gu Qingfeng decided to keep it, but accepting favors makes it difficult to act freely, and it didn't seem quite right to use the old man for practice. Thinking this, Gu Qingfeng decided to find someone else. Just then, the old man's voice came from the cell again. "Young man, are you in a hurry to report back? If not, would you mind chatting with an old man? I have been imprisoned in the demon quelling prison for 10 years, and haven't talked much with anyone in that time. My life is coming to an end. I just want to chat with someone before I die, to ease my mind." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng turned and said nonchalantly, "Sure, what do you want to talk about?" The old man, sitting in his chair, began to tell his story. 100 years ago, in Ji County, there was a small mountain village named Zhang Family Village. The villagers were simple and isolated from the world. There was a boy named Zhang Heng who accidentally planted a small locust tree. While telling this part, the old man was secretly pleased, planning to slowly coax Gu Qingfeng into opening the door. Unexpectedly, the next second, Gu Qingfeng abruptly opened the door, startling the old man. Pointing at Gu Qingfeng, he asked in surprise, "Why did you come in? I'm a demon. Aren't you afraid I'll eat you?" Gu Qingfeng casually found a swing to sit on and said indifferently, "I can tell you're a good demon. Besides, Besides, listening to stories through a door isn't the same. What happened to the locust tree? Hearing this, the old man was speechless, unsure what to do next. Should he continue with the story, or attack directly? After much hesitation, he continued. The locust tree grew up and became a demon, and then it devoured all the people of Zhang family village. Having finished the story, the old man stopped pretending, transforming into his true tree demon form with a gnarled and fierce face. Gu Qingfeng, not indulging him, punched him and sent him flying, then reprimanded. Can't you show some professionalism? Couldn't you have waited to attack after finishing the story? Hearing this, the tree demon's face twisted into a ferocious expression again. He leapt away from Gu Qingfeng, summoning countless vines to attack. In an instant, Gu Qingfeng was bound like a rice dumpling and suspended in midair. Then the system alerted. You have been attacked by the 100-year locust tree sprite. Strength increased by 5. With the system alert, Gu Qingfeng felt himself getting stronger, so he said with a smile, "Please, put in more effort. I can handle a lot." This comment instantly infuriated the locust tree sprite, who then summoned more vines to wrap around Gu Qingfeng's body, attempting to strangle him to death. As the force of the attack increased, the system alerted again. You have been attacked by the 100-year locust tree sprite. Strength increased by 5. With his strength continuously increasing, the system notified, "Congratulations to the host for breaking the strength limit, acquiring the strength of 9 bulls and 2 tigers." As the system alert ended, the vines wrapping Gu Qingfeng began to crackle. The next second, Gu Qingfeng tore through the vines and stepped out, advancing towards the locust tree sprite. The locust tree sprite, startled, yelled, "Don't come any closer." But Gu Qingfeng just sneered, "Shout all you want. Nobody will come to save you. Feel the fear, my dear old treasure." Moments later, the badly beaten locust tree sprite obediently gave Gu Qingfeng a back massage, and while massaging, continued the story he hadn't finished. "It turns out I am that locust tree, the place where I was planted. Right beneath it was a wooden spirit weapon. Because of the constant nourishment from that spirit weapon, I was able to transform. Spirit weapons are powerful weapons with spiritual essence, divided into 4 grades: heaven, earth, mysterious, and yellow, corresponding to the 4 ranks of demon exorcists. That spirit weapon was known as the Wood King Sword. 100 years ago, it was an upper grade earth level spirit weapon, but it seems to have been damaged, losing its spirit over the century, now downgraded to a lower grade mysterious level." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng became interested, and immediately asked the locust tree sprite where he hid the Wood King Sword. The locust tree sprite revealed, "When the demon exorcists came to capture me, knowing I couldn't defeat them, I hid the Wood King Sword in an extremely concealed place. This place is known only to me." At this point, Gu Qingfeng had lost his patience. He grabbed the locust tree sprite by the head and demanded the main point. The locust tree sprite, startled by his action, quickly revealed that the Wood King Sword was hidden under the ground of Mountain God Temple, behind Zhang family village in Ji County. After learning the location of the spirit weapon, Gu Qingfeng turned to leave the cell, but couldn't help complaining, "This locust tree sprite talks too much, wasting so much time. It's almost dawn now. There's probably not enough time for another cell before my shift ends." So, he decided to visit the little corpse charmer to see how well she had learned the poses. Arriving at little corpse charmer's cell, Gu Qingfeng skillfully unlocked the door and saw the eagerly awaited little corpse charmer. He asked her to switch to an authoritative lady and dress up in a courtesan's attire. The little corpse charmer shyly agreed, then transformed into the black stockings lady as per Gu Qingfeng's request. Gu Qingfeng applauded enthusiastically, but felt something was missing. Thinking this, he brought the demon to create a more robust scene, setting up an illusory campus romance drama and an emperor's harem struggle play. But just when he was having fun, the illusion suddenly broke, leaving Gu Qingfeng displeased. He asked the demon why he abruptly dispelled the illusion. The demon, frightened, quickly explained, "Big brother, it's time for your shift change." Gu Qingfeng yawned, resignedly saying, "All right then, good times always seem to pass quickly." He then got dressed and went to change shifts with Zhang Zheng. Seeing Zhang Zheng humming a tune as he walked, Gu Qingfeng guessed he must have encountered something good. After some inquiry, he learned that a few days ago, a team led by mysterious ranked demon exorcist Master Yang went to the Bone Forest for a demon hunting mission, but was completely annihilated. Their Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau branch always had a full roster, but now 4 yellow ranked demon exorcists and mysterious ranked demon exorcists had perished, leaving several vacancies. 4 apprentices at the inner energy realm were promoted to yellow ranked demon exorcists on the spot. Another yellow ranked demon exorcist has been promoted to fill Lord Yang's position. So now, there was 1 remaining spot for yellow ranked demon exorcist, but all the inner energy realm demon exorcists had already been promoted. Thus, according to tradition, the vacancy would be filled by selecting a capable person through a martial arts competition. The competition was scheduled in 3 days, and when he passed by earlier, many were already signing up, looking quite lively. Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng showed interest and smilingly asked Zhang Zheng, "Is this competition only open to apprentice demon exorcists at energy gathering 9th level?" Zhang Zheng thought for a moment. There's no such restriction. Even many at the 8th level of energy gathering have signed up. Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng secretly rejoiced. Great, there are still 3 days left. If I can advance to a yellow ranked demon exorcist, I'll have the privilege to freely enter the second layer of the demon-quelling prison. Once there, I can encounter more demons, and with the system's help, becoming stronger will be as easy as eating and drinking. This is truly a rare opportunity. However, Zhang Zheng thought that those below energy gathering 9th level signing up were just dreaming, as surpassing one's level isn't easy. He believed the final winner would definitely be among those at the 9th level, and it would be better to work steadily and earnestly. So, he advised Gu Qingfeng to go home and rest early, but Gu Qingfeng still inquired about the registration location, determined to vie for the position of a yellow-ranked demon exorcist. Although the system only works against demons, martial practitioners could still kill him, and winning the competition requires standing out, which doesn't align with his low-profile nature. But with the abilities gained through the system in the past 2 days, he felt any one of them would be enough to overpower those at energy gathering 9th level, and he had 4 such abilities. The limit of energy gathering 9th level is 9,000 pounds of strength, but he possesses 25,000 pounds, so he wouldn't lose. Meanwhile, at the Righteous Energy Hall, it was already bustling with people. Those who came to register were mostly masters at energy gathering 9th level, but at that moment, a young man with white hair stepped out from the crowd and slowly said, "Apprentice Demon Exorcist Yi Xian of the 12th Squad, registering cultivation level, energy gathering 7th level." This statement immediately drew ridicule from the crowd. I must have heard wrong. An apprentice at just the 7th level dares to join the competition? Is this kid still dreaming? Another delusional fool. I, at the 8th level, don't even dare to register. He's really overestimating himself. In the face of ridicule, Yi Xian coldly responded, "A bunch of frogs in a well. If victory is solely determined by cultivation level, then what's the point of competing? Just showcase your cultivation levels. You lack the courage to challenge yourself, yet you dare to mock others." Hearing this, one of the mockers immediately retorted, "I call it being self-aware, not like some who are blissfully ignorant." Suddenly, a hand extended from the back of the crowd. "What Brother Yi said is correct. I wholeheartedly agree. Brother Ye's courage is admirable. It inspires me deeply. I was hesitant to register because of my low cultivation level, but now, with Brother Yi setting an example, I too will join in the excitement." With Gu Qingfeng's support, Yi Xian felt even more confident and righteously said, "Brother, your righteous speech is commendable. Your courage is praiseworthy. What does it matter if our cultivation levels are low? As cultivators, we must have a heart that dares to face challenges and not fear powerful enemies. If today we see an enemy with higher cultivation and do not draw our swords, and tomorrow the same, there will always be someone with higher cultivation in this world. Does that mean we never dare to draw our swords for a lifetime?" After Yi Xian's impassioned speech, the people around were also greatly inspired, expressing their desire to register. But when Yi Xian said, "If I join forces with you, even with our mere 7th level of energy gathering, we can surely make a difference," Gu Qingfeng felt a bit embarrassed, admitting that he was only at the 3rd level of energy gathering. Hearing this, Yi Xian's face immediately turned black with disbelief, and the crowd looked at Gu Qingfeng incredulously, challenging 6 levels above. "If you want to die, there are other ways. There's no need to humiliate yourself." But Gu Qingfeng didn't mind, asserting that he wouldn't have signed up if he wasn't somewhat confident. He then placed his token on the table, announcing his name, Gu Qingfeng, cultivation, energy gathering 3rd level, position, prison guard of the demon-quelling prison. That evening, Gu Qingfeng found a fast horse, left the demon-quelling bureau, and headed straight for Zhang family village. With a few days left before the competition, he decided to find a suitable weapon, and the Wood King sword mentioned by the Locust Tree Sprite was the best choice. According to the Locust Tree Sprite, the Wood King sword was located under the old locust tree in the courtyard of Mountain God Temple, behind Zhang family village, buried 3 feet deep. Sure enough, as soon as Gu Qingfeng pushed open the courtyard gate, he saw a prominently large locust tree, which looked like it might become another Locust Tree Sprite in a few years. But that was of no concern to Gu Qingfeng. His goal was the Wood King sword. He took out the tools he had prepared and started digging on the spot, soon uncovering a deep pit several meters deep. Suddenly, with a clang, an ancient wooden box buried in the earth appeared before Gu Qingfeng. To his surprise, upon opening it, there was only an ordinary-looking wooden sword. Gu Qingfeng even wondered if it was a homemade sword by the Locust Tree Spirit. With a triancy attitude, he swung it at a nearby shovel, only to hear a snap. The shovel was unscathed, but the sword broke. Looking at the intact shovel, Gu Qingfeng was dumbfounded and mentally cursed the Locust Tree Sprite's ancestors. But then, something miraculous happened. The wooden sword, initially broken into 2 pieces, somehow restored itself, and the broken blade segment, as if alive, burrowed into the ground. Immediately, countless vines sprang from the earth, attacking towards Gu Qingfeng. Instinctively, he raised the sword to block, only to find that the vine's target seemed not to be him, but the Wood King sword in his hands. Suddenly, countless streams of spiritual energy converged on the Wood King sword. With a casual swing, Gu Qingfeng unleashed numerous sword energies, piercing through the old locust tree in front of him with a single strike. Seeing this, Gu Qingfeng was instantly delighted, realizing this was the correct way to use the Wood King sword. According to the Locust Tree Sprite, blood could bind the sword to its owner. However, when Gu Qingfeng was about to cut his finger to do so, he found that his hand was unharmed, but the Wood king's sword had lost a large chunk, frustrating him to the point of near madness. He began swinging it randomly, and after a while, a tired Gu Qingfeng started to calmly think about how to properly bind the sword. At that moment, vines began to grow from the Wood King's sword at his feet, instantly shooting towards Gu Qingfeng and burrowing into his body, without giving him any time to react. It seemed the sword was starting the binding process. So, Gu Qingfeng let the Wood King's sword absorb his blood. What he didn't know was that spirit weapons cannot be bound by just anyone. The owner of a spirit weapon needs corresponding strength to control it, or they might be drained to death during the binding process. This became apparent soon after. When Gu Qingfeng opened his eyes again, he found the Wood King's sword was still absorbing his blood. Realizing something was wrong, he gathered strength in his left hand, threatening the Wood King's sword on his right hand. "Stop now, or I'll bury you again." Upon hearing this, the Wood King's sword seemingly understood and truly retracted its blood-sucking vines, returning to its original form. But by then, Gu Qingfeng was already drenched in cold sweat, muttering to himself about its sinister nature. What he didn't know was that normally, at least a martial practitioner at the inner energy realm is needed to control a spirit weapon, and they must be able to sustain the weapon's absorption. With only an energy-gathering realm cultivation, he could only sustain the spirit weapon by feeding it with blood. If not for his extraordinary physique, he would have been a dried corpse by now. After successfully binding the Wood King's sword, Gu Qingfeng saw its current status through the system. Wood King's sword, an upper-grade Earth-level spirit weapon, currently a lower-grade spirit weapon due to lack of proper care and being drained by a demon. If the owner takes good care of it, it can be restored to an upper-grade spirit weapon. Special ability, regeneration after being broken. After reading the system's description, Gu Qingfeng was quite satisfied with the Wood King's sword, thinking to himself that the locust tree sprite indeed didn't deceive him, and the Wood King's sword was indeed powerful. As a reward, he thought he would grant the locust tree sprite its release when he had time, as being imprisoned in the demon-quelling prison was also a form of suffering. It would be better to use it as nourishment for the Wood King's sword. Just then, a light rain began to fall from the sky. Gu Qingfeng muttered to himself about the bad luck. He hurriedly pushed open the dilapidated temple door and entered. Upon entering, what caught his eye was a headless mountain deity statue. According to the records in the demon-quelling handbook, the mountain deity is worshipped by the masses, gathering the will of living beings, and possesses certain abilities to ward off evil and disasters. Thus, a shattered mountain deity statue signifies the presence of a powerful demon that disregards the deity's power, indicating great danger and caution. But Gu Qingfeng wasn't afraid of this. With the system that strengthens him when attacked by demons, he was actually hoping for a powerful demon to come his way, so he could enhance his abilities further. Therefore, he lit a bonfire inside the mountain god temple and began eating a baked flatbread. However, just then, footsteps were heard outside the temple. Gu Qingfeng's heart leaped with excitement, thinking a demon had arrived so soon, but he was somewhat disappointed when the temple door opened, as it turned out to be a beautiful young lady wearing a veil, accompanied by several guards. Apparently, she was a rich young mistress. After sitting down, the young lady shyly greeted Gu Qingfeng, which endeared her to him. But at that moment, a bald butler disdainfully tossed 2 silver taels, suggesting, "The mountain god temple is too cramped. Take this money and find another place, kid." Gu Qingfeng, feeling insulted by being offered money to leave, especially since he had found the place first, retorted, "Who do you think you are to tell me to leave?" Then he boldly demanded, "Not enough. Raise the price. 24 taels." Hearing this, the bald butler's expression darkened, revealing his true energy realm cultivation and threatening, "Don't be too greedy, kid." Seeing that the other party was actually at the true energy realm, Gu Qingfeng also felt intimidated. After all, he could have taken a chance if the opponent was merely at the inner energy realm, but facing someone at the true energy realm was a different matter. It's better to be prudent in such situations. But then, the young lady stepped forward, speaking up for him. "It's only fair since he was here first. How could we possibly let him leave? Our family acts rashly. Please, young master, don't take offense." However, Gu Qingfeng, fixated on the money, said, "It's fine, but are you sure you don't want to reconsider the 24 taels? Even 20 taels are negotiable." The young lady smiled sweetly. "Please, no more jokes, sir. It's nighttime now, raining heavily outside, and there may be demons lurking. It's best if you stay with us in the temple." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng could only thank her for the kindness, while internally scoffing, "What's there to fear about demons? If I had known, I wouldn't have been so pretentious earlier. 2 taels of silver are better than none." Subsequently, the young lady, as a gesture of apology, handed Gu Qingfeng a chicken leg. This act caught the attention of the guards and the butler nearby, who clenched their teeth in irritation. Their food supplies were already limited, and the young lady was giving some to a stranger. Observing the intense gazes of everyone around him, Gu Qingfeng also broke into a cold sweat, quickly expressing his gratitude, saying, "The lady is beautiful and kind-hearted. I will remember this favor. By the way, may I know the lady's name?" The young lady, blushing, shyly revealed her name as Si Wei. However, just as the two were enjoying their conversation, screams suddenly echoed from outside the door. The bald butler signaled everyone to be quiet, ordered the remaining guards to ensure the young lady's safety, and then proceeded outside with a sword in hand. To his shock, he discovered that all the guards outside had been killed, with no signs of struggle, indicating that they were instantly slain. Realizing that this was the work of a master, the butler cautiously looked around. At that moment, a long-haired man appeared on the rooftop. It turned out to be the white bone sage from the blood demon sect, who had come to capture Siwei. Inside the temple, Siwei, hearing that she was the target, was startled and confused. She had no idea what the blood demon sect was, or who this white bone sage might be. One of the guards explained, "Miss, the blood demon sect is a sect of martial practitioners who worship demons. These people are insane. In pursuit of immense power and longevity, they consume humans and attempt to transform themselves into demons. Their members are neither fully human nor demon. White bone sage is one of their experts, a practitioner at the fierce energy realm, and also a successor of the corpse refining lineage." Siwei was frightened upon hearing that they ate humans, and almost collapsed backward, but Gu Qingfeng quickly caught her by the waist, preventing her from falling. Blushing in Gu Qingfeng's arms, Siwei quickly changed the subject, asking why the blood demon sect would target her. The guard explained, "Sir C became the county protector of Phoenix Tree County after uncovering a major case involving the blood demon sect not long ago. The blood demon sect capturing Miss C is likely an act of revenge against Sir C." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng realized that Siwei was the daughter of the head of Phoenix Tree County, but that wasn't his main concern. He needed to know whether the people from the blood demon sect were humans or demons. So, he asked the guard at the door, "Dealing with demons and ghosts is my specialty. So, I need to confirm if the members of the blood demon sect are humans or demons. I am an apprentice demon exorcist from the Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau." Hearing Gu Qingfeng's confident words, Siwei seemed to see a ray of hope. "Thank goodness, young Master Gu. I didn't expect you to be from the Demon Quelling Bureau. I've heard that demon exorcists from the Bureau are the best at eliminating demons and evil spirits. You must have a way to deal with white bone sage outside, right?" However, the guards standing by couldn't help but laugh. "Miss, he's just an apprentice demon exorcist, the lowest rank, and his cultivation is only at the energy gathering realm. What can he possibly do?" Hearing this, Siwei didn't blame Gu Qingfeng, but instead advised him to stay with them inside, rather than going out. "Yeah," Gu Qingfeng insisted. "Don't worry about it. I just want to know if white bone sage is a human or a demon." One of the guards answered, "They are half human, half demon, having transplanted demon organs." Upon receiving this information, Gu Qingfeng immediately asked the system, "Can this kind of half-demon harm me?" The system quickly replied, "It's a system that strengthens you when attacked by demons, not by half-demons." Hearing this response, Gu Qingfeng was dumbstruck, realizing that if the guards couldn't withstand white bone sage, he could be in danger too. He regretted speaking so confidently earlier. Just then, the temple door was suddenly pushed open by a gust of demonic wind, and countless zombies refined by white bone sage poured in. Due to the overwhelming number of zombies, one of the guards burned his life force to cast a secret technique, temporarily repelling the horde, allowing another guard time to set up a barrier. But unexpectedly, a copper-armored corpse from the horde managed to get behind Gu Qingfeng and the others, attacking Siwei. In a critical moment, the guard who burned his life force struck with full strength, severing the copper-armored corpse's arm. The barrier was finally activated, but the guard began to fade away, his life force depleted. However, he had no regrets, as long as the young mistress was safe. Meanwhile, outside the temple, the bald butler was still fiercely battling white bone sage, but seeing the horde entering the temple, he couldn't help but be distracted. Knowing that prolonging the fight was disadvantageous, he decided to end it quickly, unleashing his exploding clothes technique, his muscles swelling instantly. The next second, with a fierce glint in his eyes, he swung his fist, large as a sandbag, towards white bone sage's face. Yet, white bone sage, hit by the punch, just sneered, standing still, channeling his fierce energy, and managed to repel the bald butler with just the energy surrounding his body. The butler was sent flying like a plow through the ground for several meters, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Incredibly looking at white bone sage, "You've turned yourself into a silver-armored corpse." White bone sage cackled strangely. "This is the power of a zombie. What a perfect creature, impervious to weapons, immensely strong, and only needing fresh blood to exist indefinitely." Saying this, white bone sage walked straight towards the mountain god temple. While inside, Gu Qingfeng, hearing this conversation, immediately grasped the key point. The opponent has turned himself into a silver-armored corpse. This is exactly my area of expertise, right? Gu Qingfeng thought. He quickly asked the system, "Zombies fall under the category of demons and ghosts, right?" Receiving an affirmative response from the system, Gu Qingfeng felt assured. "Today seems to be the day for me to show my true capabilities." He then stepped out of the protective barrier, directly facing the horde of zombies. In an instant, all the zombies pounced towards him, causing even his Wood King sword to fall to the ground with a clang. Seeing this, Siwei couldn't help but shed tears, thinking Gu Qingfeng was trying to attract the zombies to buy them time to escape. Even the nearby guard couldn't help but express his admiration. "Young Master Gu, I misjudged you earlier. Your kindness is unforgettable." But in reality, Gu Qingfeng was fine. In fact, due to the zombies' attack, his defense points kept increasing. He even rolled out of the temple, wrapped in a ball of zombies. At this moment, the system alerted, "Host's defense has broken the upper limit. Copper skin, iron bones has evolved into Vajra body. With the system's notification, Gu Qingfeng simply spread his arms and repelled the surrounding zombies, appearing in front of White Bone Sage like a god descending from the heavens. Seeing Gu Qingfeng, the bald butler was surprised. He knew someone at the energy gathering 3rd level couldn't achieve this. To deceive him with such a disguise, Gu Qingfeng must possess a secret technique or be above his fierce energy realm cultivation. After the rain stopped, Gu Qingfeng finally spoke slowly. I am just an ordinary traveler. On my journey, I was kindly treated with roasted meat by Miss Siwei. As a return gift, I have come to invite you to your death. Would you prefer to take your own life? It would save me some trouble. His words silenced the entire scene, and White Bone Sage was utterly enraged. What are you showing off, brat? Asking me to commit suicide? I am the chief protector of the Blood Demon sect, the first person under the innate grandmasters. Even if you're ignorant, there's a limit. Saying this, he stomped forward and punched heavily on Gu Qingfeng's head. After delivering the punch, White Bone Sage felt assured. In his entire career, no one had ever withstood his full strength strike without defense. But then, an impatient voice came from behind. Are you done? Seeing Gu Qingfeng unharmed, White Bone Sage was completely dumbfounded. His decades of hard training, and even willingly becoming a demon for power, seemed futile. He couldn't believe he couldn't even harm Gu Qingfeng's skin. Incredulous, he asked who Gu Qingfeng really was. Gu Qingfeng simply replied indifferently, my name is Gu Qingfeng, an apprentice demon exorcist from the Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau. Hearing this, Siwei quietly asked the guard in the temple, didn't you say that apprentice demon exorcists are weak? The guard replied in a low voice, how can this strength possibly belong to an apprentice demon exorcist? He is clearly a heaven-ranked demon exorcist. Meanwhile, White Bone Sage felt that Gu Qingfeng was joking with him, guessing that he must be an old monster with a youthful appearance and the ability to preserve his looks. Undoubtedly a grandmaster. He must be one of the top masters among the grandmasters. But no matter how powerful a grandmaster is, White Bone Sage was determined to destroy him. Thinking this, White Bone Sage launched an even more ferocious attack on Gu Qingfeng, who still stood unmoved, taking all the hits. Meanwhile, the system notified, you have been attacked by White Bone Sage. Defense increased by 100, 100, 100. After the smoke cleared, White Bone Sage wore a triumphant smile, feeling confident. But behind him, Gu Qingfeng's lazy voice was heard again. Go ahead, use whatever moves you have. Startled, White Bone Sage clenched his teeth and began to gather strength. You forced me. Gu Qingfeng replied indifferently. Good, I hope you can make it more enjoyable for me. Soon after, White Bone Sage summoned a White Bone Wraithfire and directed it towards Gu Qingfeng. Seeing Gu Qingfeng daring to take on his White Bone Wraithfire, White Bone Sage let out a cackling laugh, marveling at such arrogance. Who in the world would face White Bone Wraithfire without dodging? No matter how high your cultivation or how strong your body is, my White Bone Wraithfire, cultivated from the bones of 10,000 people and hundreds of fierce energy realm demons over decades, corrupts both flesh and soul. Even if you are a grandmaster, you will not leave here alive today. However, from the midst of the White Bone Wraithfire, that familiar voice came again. It's quite warm. White Bone Sage was stunned and quickly distanced himself from Gu Qingfeng, now engulfed in flames. The system then alerted, you have been attacked by White Bone Wraithfire. Fire attribute increased by 100, 100, 100. Congratulations, you have gained the talent ability Fire Control. As the White Bone Wraithfire gradually dissipated, the system notified again, you have been attacked by White Bone Wraithfire. Fire attribute increased by 100, 100, 100. Congratulations, your talent ability Fire Control has evolved into Fire Mastery. After hearing the system's notifications, Gu Qingfeng once again addressed White Bone Sage. Do you have anything else? Upon hearing this, White Bone Sage was completely dumbfounded, exclaiming, impossible. Nobody survives after being hit by White Bone Wraithfire. Moreover, he now found himself unable to summon his White Bone Wraithfire, as if it had been stripped away from him. Realizing this, White Bone Sage stepped back and tried again, but to no avail. The White Bone Sage couldn't believe it. The White Bone Wraithfire he had painstakingly cultivated for decades had just been taken away by someone. He shouted, demanding Gu Qingfeng to return it to him. Gu Qingfeng responded, indicating that he was reasonable and willing to return it if that's what White Bone Sage wanted. He then threw the White Bone Wraithfire back at White Bone Sage. Following a loud explosion, White Bone Sage vanished in a sea of flames, with a red pillar of fire shooting up into the sky. The strong gust even swept the bald butler away, causing him to spin in the air twice before slowly descending. Seeing that it was about time, Gu Qingfeng used his Fire Mastery talent to absorb the White Bone Wraithfire back into his stomach, which unfortunately caused the bald butler to be blown away once again. Afterward, looking at the ashes of White Bone Sage, Gu Qingfeng felt a sense of loss. The opponent was a peak fierce energy realm expert, likely possessing numerous treasures, spirit weapons, elixirs, secret manuals, gold, and silver in his storage ring, all of which had been burned away. However, to thank him for saving their lives, the bald butler gave Gu Qingfeng a county protector's token, suggesting that he could show it in Phoenix Tree County to resolve resolve minor issues as people would still respect the old master's influence. Gu Qingfeng accepted the token with a smile, saying he would honor their wishes. At this moment, the guard who had previously mocked Gu Qingfeng suddenly knelt down, apologizing for his earlier disrespect and expressing gratitude for Gu Qingfeng saving their lives. Feeling deeply ashamed, Gu Qingfeng smiled slightly, agreeing that a punishment was indeed due. Si Wei was about to intervene but was stopped by the bald butler, who warned that offending a grandmaster for a guard was not worth it. Unexpectedly, Gu Qingfeng declared the punishment to be 24 taels, bringing a smile back to Si Wei's face. The guard quickly kowed out in gratitude, saying he was willing to pay even 240 taels. Hearing the offer of more money, Gu Qingfeng's eyes lit up. However, before the guard could finish, the bald butler interrupted, chiding him for his foolishness, reminding him of Gu Qingfeng's status and that he should not insult a grandmaster with money. The guard then realized his mistake, understanding that a grandmaster like Gu Qingfeng would not be interested in his silver. He promptly kowed out again and presented 24 taels of silver. Gu Qingfeng felt helpless at this, lamenting internally that it could have been 240 taels, equivalent to 10 years of his salary. I'm interested in it. Why did you stop him? He still accepted the 24 taels of silver. Then he turned around and said, let's consider this matter settled. You can stand up now. Seeing this, the bald butler couldn't help but admire. Truly a grandmaster level expert, so magnanimous. Young Master Gu's character is indeed worth learning from. After this, the barbecue continued. Gu Qingfeng chatted with Si Wei while eating a chicken leg, pondering to himself, the world is so pragmatic. Before and after this incident, their attitudes towards me were completely opposite. If I weren't a powerful person, I might have died here today. He then checked the two talents he had just acquired, Vajra Body and Fire Mastery. As the name implies, Vajra Body has stronger defense than Copper Skin, Iron Bones, capable of defending against attacks up to the Fierce Energy realm. The specific data would need to be tested in actual combat. The value of the Fire Mastery talent is not weaker than Vajra Body. It allows one to control countless fires, similar to the Flame Emperor, commanding and controlling flames, and even seizing control of the enemy's flames. It's the nemesis of fire attribute martial practitioners, or demons. Shocked by the strength of these talents, Gu Qingfeng felt that his gains, including the White Bone Wraithfire provided by White Bone Sage, were quite substantial. 2 days later, Gu Qingfeng and Si Wei returned to Phoenix Tree County. Gu Qingfeng formally bid them farewell and headed to the Demon Quelling Bureau to participate in the martial arts competition. The Demon Quelling Bureau's arena was already crowded with spectators. In front of the stage sat the 5 judges of the competition. With the sound of gongs, the first match officially began, with Yi Xian at the 7th level of energy gathering facing Yi at the 9th level. Unfortunately, although Yi Xian had the heart to challenge beyond his level, he lacked the protagonist's destiny and was defeated in less than 3 moves due to the significant difference in strength. This scene was witnessed by Gu Qingfeng, who hurried to help Yi Xian. Yi Xian tried to persuade Gu Qingfeng to give up, realizing the difficulty of surpassing one's level from his defeat. He had been beaten in 3 moves at the 7th level, and Gu Qingfeng was only at the 3rd level, likely to lose even more miserably. But Gu Qingfeng insisted, a gentleman's word is his bond. How can I go back on my word? This made Yi Xian feel even more guilty, thinking he had led Gu Qingfeng into trouble. Then the gong sounded again for the second match, featuring Gu Qingfeng at the 3rd level of energy gathering against Lin Xiao at the 9th level. Seeing that Gu Qingfeng was indeed only at the 3rd level, Lin Xiao felt confident, thinking it was like giving away points. He arrogantly asked Gu Qingfeng to show his weapon. However, Gu Qingfeng was puzzled to see a sword hanging on Lin Xiao's waist. Aren't you going to use a weapon? Lin Xiao stood confidently with his hands behind his back, smiling. I don't need a sword to deal with you. Gu Qingfeng, however, wanted to make things clear. That won't do. If you're unarmed and I win using a weapon, you'll surely say that I won unfairly. Lin Xiao scoffed. Use any weapon you like. If you can even make me move a step, I'll concede defeat and will not accuse you of winning unfairly. Since Lin Xiao insisted, Gu Qingfeng didn't hesitate. He drew out his Wood King sword and began to introduce it loudly. This sword is 3 feet and 3 inches long, 1 8/10 of an inch wide. It weighs about 8 ounces. It is entirely made of wood, crafted from the heart of a 1,000-year-old Emperor Willow from the extreme north, taking 18 years to forge. It is named the Wood King Sword, a lower-grade mysterious rank spirit weapon. Please appreciate its quality, brother. This announcement instantly caused laughter among the audience. This guy is really something. A broken wooden sword, and he calls it a mysterious rank lower-grade spirit weapon. No wonder this kid, at the 3rd level of energy gathering, dared to participate in the competition. He must be crazy. Unfazed, Gu Qingfeng continued, brother, I'm using a mysterious rank spirit weapon. You won't say I won unfairly, right? Lin Xiao, quite speechless, responded, no, I won't. Then Gu Qingfeng, without any courtesy, thrust his sword at Lin Xiao, who easily caught it, mocking, kids play with wooden swords. Stop your foolish act. Saying so, he broke the Wood King sword in his hand. However, Gu Qingfeng remained expressionless, silently watching. The next second, a cut appeared on Lin Zhao's hand, causing agonizing pain that made him involuntarily let go. The broken piece of the Wood King's sword began emitting blue light, and in an instant, numerous vines sprouted from under his feet, binding the unsuspecting Lin Xiao tightly. Only then did he realize that everything Gu Qingfeng had said was true, and the sword was indeed a mysterious rank spirit weapon. He understood too late that he was the fool, but it was already too late. Facing such a mysterious rank spirit weapon, there was no way he, at the 9th level of energy gathering, could break free. No matter how much he struggled, the vines only tightened further, strangling Lin Xiao until he vomited blood. Only then did Gu Qingfeng stop and say, "Thank you for conceding." But at this moment, Lin Xiao, with red eyes, accused, "Gu Qingfeng, you won unfairly." Gu Qingfeng simply smiled slightly. "Brother, it was you who allowed me to use the mysterious rank spirit weapon. How can you say that I won unfairly? You're farting nonsense. Who the hell would know a wooden sword is a mysterious rank spirit weapon?" Lin Xiao protested. "But I clearly introduced the Wood King sword in detail before the match and told you it was a mysterious rank spirit weapon. Everyone here heard it. You can't go back on your word now." Still, Lin Xiao refused to accept defeat, challenging Gu Qingfeng to another match without using a spirit weapon. Gu Qingfeng, not being foolish, continued to brandish the Wood King sword while asking the judges for a verdict. "The rules of the competition don't prohibit the use of spirit weapons, right?" Hearing this, one of the judges, a woman with an eye patch, couldn't help but laugh out loud. "I like this kid. Right, He Fenghua." The main judge nodded. "Indeed, there's no such rule." Thus, the result of the match was clear. Gu Qingfeng was declared the winner. After helping Lin Xiao to free himself from the vines, Lin Xiao asked for another rematch. However, He Fenghua stood up, banging the table and scolded, "Enough, Lin Xiao. A loss is a loss. Step down now." Lin Xiao had no choice but to comply and reluctantly left the stage. But as soon as Gu Qingfeng walked out of the arena, He Fenghua called him back, offering to buy his spirit weapon for 2,000 taels of gold. Gu Qingfeng, knowing better, refused, citing that the Wood King sword was a family heirloom and invaluable. He Fenghua's expression changed, about to make things difficult for Gu Qingfeng when a cheerful female voice called out, "He Fenghua, there you are. I've already dealt with that guy who challenged someone to a private duel. What's his name? Lin something? The Demon Quelling Bureau strictly forbids attacks on colleagues. I didn't expect him not to understand. The final duel is starting. Let's hurry back." He Fenghua, having no choice, pretended to be nonchalant and left with the woman, but inside, he was already scheming how to make Gu Qingfeng hand over the spirit weapon. Soon after, Gu Qingfeng returned to his room to begin cultivating. Although he had the system shortly after transmigrating and never really practiced cultivation, he realized that improving his realm could save him a lot of trouble, as people here greatly valued cultivation levels. Moreover, a higher realm could also extend his lifespan. With these thoughts, Gu Qingfeng started practicing. The technique he cultivated was called the Pure Bright Technique, a fundamental practice method of the Demon Quelling Bureau. All demon exorcists typically build their foundation on this technique. Since demons are mostly of dark attributes, demon exorcists need to cultivate bright attribute techniques. To better counter demons, Gu Qingfeng sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Shortly after, a warm current began to gather at his elixir field. Unknowingly, Gu Qingfeng actually fell asleep and woke up only the next day. He couldn't help but lament, "It's not that I'm not trying hard, it's just that cultivation is too dull and boring." Therefore, he placed his hopes on the system, asking why it couldn't directly increase his cultivation level, always enhancing some strange attributes, either defense or strength. "Are you trying to turn me into a muscle man?" To his surprise, the system replied that it couldn't increase his cultivation because he had no cultivation level. Seeing this response, Gu Qingfeng was frustrated. "System, you can't lie with your eyes open. I clearly have cultivation." At the 3rd level of energy gathering, the system clarified that the energy gathering realm merely involves storing the energy of heaven and earth in the body, which does not count as true cultivation. It's only when one reaches the inner energy realm, refining the stored energy into one's own inner energy, that one truly has cultivation. Only then can the system enhance the cultivation and inner energy. Disappointed, Gu Qingfeng asked if there was any room for negotiation, but the system ruthlessly refused. He felt helpless, knowing it would take ages to reach the inner energy realm through cultivation. Nevertheless, he decided to let it go for now and proceed to the 2nd round of the competition. Being a man with only 3rd level energy gathering cultivation, but possessing a legendary mysterious rank spirit weapon, he was immediately surrounded by a crowd at the martial arts field, all curious about the Wood King sword. In a Demon Quelling Bureau, ordinary yellow rank demon exorcists typically only used common weapons. Only at the mysterious rank demon exorcist level could one possibly get a yellow level spirit weapon, and only earth rank demon exorcists had mysterious rank spirit weapons. There was only one earth level spirit weapon in the entire Demon Quelling Bureau, held by the heaven rank demon exorcist Li Qianren. Yet Gu Qingfeng, merely an apprentice demon exorcist with 3rd level energy gathering cultivation, owned a mysterious rank spirit weapon, causing envy among many. His opponent for the day, still a man at the 9th level of energy gathering, felt he had little chance against a mysterious rank spirit weapon. Deciding to take the initiative, he planned to defeat Gu Qingfeng before he could use his spirit weapon, charging at Gu Qingfeng with a sword. Just as his blade was about to strike, vines from the Wood King's sword instantly weaved into a wooden shield, so hard that his long sword couldn't penetrate it. Frustrated, he leaped back to distance himself from Gu Qingfeng. On landing and seeing Gu Qingfeng well protected, the man was at a loss on how to proceed. But Gu Qingfeng had no intention of giving his opponent time to think. He immediately controlled the vines to entangle the man's long sword and, with a strong pull, disarmed the man in an instant. Countless vines then crazily spread towards the man, with some even suddenly shooting up from the ground, catching him off guard. Seeing that the time was right, Gu Qingfeng prepared to return the long sword to his opponent and end the match. However, unexpectedly, the opponent resorted to a sneak attack at this moment, which only resulted in being whipped away by Gu Qingfeng's controlling vines. This scene left the audience silent. In the next match, Gu Qingfeng didn't even bother with any words, directly using the vines to bind his opponent and sending him off the stage. It was not very harmful but highly insulting, leaving the audience with mixed feelings. Then, an old man in the competition proposed to Gu Qingfeng to have a fair match without using the spirit weapon, offering to suppress his cultivation to the 3rd level of energy gathering. But before he could finish his sentence, Gu Qingfeng's controlling vines had already struck, sending the old man flying. Watching the old man flying away, Gu Qingfeng belatedly asked, "What was he saying? The wind was too loud. I didn't hear clearly." After this match, Gu Qingfeng successfully entered the top 4 but faced collective opposition from the other contestants. They complained to Yifenghua, accusing Gu Qingfeng of blatant cheating by winning with the spirit weapon, rendering the competition meaningless. Yifenghua saw this as an opportunity and sent Huang, a steward, to deal with Gu Qingfeng. The next morning, while Gu Qingfeng was cultivating in his room, Huang arrived and bluntly told him about the complaints and boycott from other apprentice demon exorcists and martial practitioners. He mentioned that Lord he was willing to help him out if Gu Qingfeng agreed to sell the Wood King sword to him. Lord he would even allow him to continue using it until he obtained the rank of yellow rank demon exorcist, at which point he would need to hand over the sword. In return, Gu Qingfeng would receive a substantial amount of money, the position of yellow rank demon exorcist, and Lord Yi's favor. Faced with Huang's threats and temptations, Gu Qingfeng directly asked, "What if I refuse to sell?" Huang spread his hands in a feigned helpless gesture, saying that Gu Qingfeng would then be prohibited from using the Wood King sword in the competition, stopping at the top 4 and missing out on the yellow rank demon exorcist position. Besides displeasing Lord Yi, Gu Qingfeng, unswayed by this, chose to send the steward away, asking him to tell Lord Yi that the Wood King sword was a family heirloom. "I'm not interested in selling, so no deal. You may leave now." Steward Huang snorted coldly. What a foolish, tactless man. At the martial arts field, the atmosphere was buzzing with excitement, everyone feeling sorry for Gu Qingfeng's next opponent, Hu Banqing, one of the favorites to win the competition. Hu Banqing, with his 9th level of energy gathering cultivation, had previously slain an ironclad corpse. Unfortunately, he was up against Gu Qingfeng. Just before the match was about to start, Hu Banqing suddenly addressed the judges. "Honorable judges, I have something to say. Gu Qingfeng, by exploiting the loopholes in the rules of the competition and blatantly cheating with his spirit weapon, has made a mockery of this contest. This competition is meant to choose the strongest, most deserving candidate for the yellow rank demon exorcist position. But this man, aside from his spirit weapon, has no real strength and lacks the character to command respect. Therefore, I request the judges to revoke Gu Qingfeng's privilege to use his spirit weapon to ensure fairness in the competition." Seizing the opportunity, Yifenghua asked if Gu Qingfeng had anything to say. Surprisingly, Gu Qingfeng said, "I only used the spirit weapon because I was worried about damaging your confidence. You all think I can only win with the spirit weapon, but what if I don't rely on it?" This comment caused laughter among the audience. Did I hear that right? He thinks he can win without the spirit weapon? Without a spirit weapon, you are nothing. Despite the audience's jeers and mockery, Gu Qingfeng confidently put away the Wood King sword and said, "I intended to mingle with you as an ordinary person, but all I got in return was coldness and ridicule. Fine, I won't pretend anymore. I'm laying all my cards on the table. Actually, I have long been invincible in the energy gathering realm. I can win without the spirit weapon." Given Gu Qingfeng's declaration, Yifenghua naturally revoked his right to use the spirit weapon. The competition began, and Hu Banqing, facing Gu Qingfeng with only 3rd level energy gathering cultivation, was disdainful. He even put away his long sword, opting to attack Gu Qingfeng with his fists. A loud thud was heard as his fist hit Gu Qingfeng's head, but in the next second, a sound of bone cracking came from Hu Banqing's hand, followed by a piercing scream of agony. This scene shocked Yifenghua, who stood up from his seat, unable to believe that Gu Qingfeng had mastered the iron cloth robe. The one-eyed woman nearby couldn't help but admire. "I never thought there would be such a genius in external cultivation in this world." The audience erupted into excitement, finding it unbelievable that Gu Qingfeng, at the 3rd level of energy gathering, could withstand a punch from a 9th level practitioner. And with that, Hu Banqing finally recovered from the pain of his broken bone. Pulling out the long sword he had initially planted planted in the ground, he once again charged at Gu Qingfeng. To his surprise, Gu Qingfeng easily blocked his attack with just his bare hands, and with a slight effort, broke the long sword. Gu Qingfeng calmly stated, "Do you now realize the gap between us? I didn't want to use my true strength, just to avoid crushing your confidence. Now, you've been defeated by a martial practitioner of only the 3rd level of energy gathering. How do you plan to console yourself?" Facing the demon like Gu Qingfeng, Hu Banqing, though terrified, stubbornly retorted, "I haven't lost. You're just physically tough. You're far from winning against me." Gu Qingfeng, tired of the banter, pressed his hand on Hu Banqing's head and forcibly made his face meet the ground, causing an indentation on impact. Hu Banqing instantly passed out. Gu Qingfeng dusted himself off and asked the steward to announce the result with a smile. Thus, he once again easily won the match, overwhelming his opponent with sheer strength. However, after he left the arena, his next opponent, Bai Meiming, looked at his departing figure in utter despair, even doubting whether his spear could pierce Gu Qingfeng's skin. This scene did not escape Yifenghua's notice. Later, he approached Bai Meiming, inquiring whether he felt confident about defeating Gu Qingfeng in the upcoming match. Bai Meiming reluctantly admitted that his spirit was broken, doubting his ability to penetrate Gu Qingfeng's iron cloth robe. To his surprise, Yifenghua presented him with a spear named Facing the Phoenix, a yellow-grade lower-tier spirit weapon, which he had never used in public. Bai Meiming was puzzled by Yifenghua's intentions. Yifenghua coldly remarked that Gu Qingfeng's arrogant and violent nature would make him a disastrous yellow-rank demon exorcist for the people. He offered the spear to aid Bai Meiming, assuring that with it, he could surely break through Gu Qingfeng's iron cloth robe. Gratefully, Bai Meiming accepted the weapon, feeling his fortunes had turned, and now stood a chance to become a yellow-rank demon exorcist, even gaining Lord Yi's favor. However, Bai Meiming quickly realized something was amiss. Weren't spirit weapons banned in this competition? That would mean he would be openly violating the rules by using one. But Yifenghua just coldly laughed, clarifying that it was only Gu Qingfeng who had been prohibited from using spirit weapons. Bai Meiming hesitated, knowing this was Yifenghua's scheme to make him cheat. While he could compete smoothly with the judge's approval, it would tarnish his reputation. Weighing the potential of becoming a yellow-rank demon exorcist against the cost to his reputation, Bai Meiming eventually agreed. The next day, Gu Qingfeng arrived at the arena on time for his match. Stepping onto the stage, he immediately became the center of attention. His feat of defeating opponents 6 levels above him had made him the talk of the town. Some even decided to cultivate the iron cloth robe, leading to a shortage of copies in the library. Facing Bai Meiming, Gu Qingfeng nonchalantly asked if he wanted to go through the motions of a match or concede immediately. Unexpectedly, Bai Meiming then said, "Don't be arrogant, Gu Qingfeng. I know you pride yourself on your unmatched defense, but I, Bai Meiming, am not to be trifled with either. I have developed my own unique spear technique, powerful enough to penetrate anything. If you can withstand just one strike from me, I will concede defeat. How does that sound?" Seeing the other party so confident, Gu Qingfeng didn't waste words. He simply opened his shirt and let Bai Meiming go through the motions. "Just aim here. I'm afraid you might tear my clothes." Bai Meiming was overjoyed inside, but Gu Qingfeng's expression instantly darkened. He wondered if this guy had some peculiar fetish, staring at his pectorals for so long. Then, the real contest began. Bai Meiming swung his Facing the Phoenix and didn't waste words, directly stabbing towards Gu Qingfeng. This move immediately drew ridicule from the audience below. They had restricted Gu Qingfeng from using his spirit weapon, but allowed Bai Meiming to use his, which was utterly despicable. Accompanied by a loud boom, flames erupted on the stage, and Bai Meiming, holding his long spear, revealed a cold smile, feeling sure of his victory. But when the flames dissipated, Gu Qingfeng appeared unharmed, enveloped in a golden bell shield. The audience gasped in surprise at that moment. This is the golden bell shield in its full form. No wonder Gu Qingfeng could withstand the spirit weapon. The fully mastered golden bell shield, coupled with the fully mastered iron cloth robe, makes his body comparable to a lower-grade yellow-rank spirit weapon. Gu Qingfeng then calmly said, "So this is your so-called self-developed gun technique. Using a spirit weapon counts as self-developed? You're quite the talent." Bai Meiming was incredulous. He stabbed with his spear again, but it couldn't advance an inch after hitting Gu Qingfeng's golden bell shield. Gu Qingfeng, now somewhat impatient, asked, "Are you enjoying stabbing me?" Bai Meiming, full of fear, looked at Gu Qingfeng, and this gaze made Gu Qingfeng quite uncomfortable. "Why are you leering at me again?" Bai Meiming seemed to have misunderstood something, suspecting that Gu Qingfeng had been using words to guide him to attack the chest area intentionally. He concluded that there must be a problem with Gu Qingfeng's chest. So, Bai Meiming decided to stab somewhere else, and the navel seemed the best choice. Thinking this, Bai Meiming stabbed again, but Gu Qingfeng easily caught the spear tip with 2 fingers, unable to advance any further. Gu Qingfeng, angered by the angle of this strike, said, "Where are you stabbing? That's really rude." After saying this, Gu Qingfeng exerted a little force and snatched the long spear from Bai Meiming's hand, then casually threw it out of the arena. Seeing this, The audience lost interest in the match and rushed out to pick up the spirit weapon. Fenghua on the stage was dark-faced, as this spirit weapon belonged to him. Now that he hadn't gotten the Wood King sword and facing the phoenix might be picked up by someone else, it was a real loss. Thus, he hastily found an excuse to leave the martial arts arena. Bai Meiming then showed a triumphant expression. I knew it. There's a problem with your chest. Otherwise, why wouldn't you let me stab anywhere else? Gu Qingfeng was speechless. Stab, stab. That's all you know. I'm a man, you know. Didn't I tell you before the match not to damage my clothes? After saying this, Gu Qingfeng directly turned Bai Meiming into a pig-headed figure. Only then did Bai Meiming realize that Gu Qingfeng's refusal to let him stab his stomach was indeed just to avoid tearing his clothes. Afterwards, Gu Qingfeng, who was tired from the fight, slowly stood up, but his robe was pinned down by Bai Meiming, who was kneeling on the ground. With a ripping sound, the clothes were ultimately torn. Seeing the situation turn bad, Bai Meiming was just about to surrender when Gu Qingfeng's fist had already struck. He was then blasted out of the arena. Subsequently, the referee announced Gu Qingfeng's victory in the match, earning him a spot as a yellow-ranked demon exorcist. Steward Huang and the One-Eyed Woman, after congratulating him, gave him the standard equipment for a yellow-ranked demon exorcist, which included the goose feather blade and the exorcism token. The goose feather blade, although not a spirit weapon, was of high quality, forged from 100 refined fine steel. It was engraved with a small formation, providing a certain lethality against demons. The exorcism token, on the surface, was a token representing identity, but in fact, it contained an engraved formation that could capture the death aura of demons. Whenever its holder killed a demon, the exorcism token would record the information, functioning as a merit recorder. After handing over the items to Gu Qingfeng, the One-Eyed Woman found an excuse to leave early, leaving the remaining matters to Steward Huang. Consequently, Steward Huang had to take up the task of guiding Gu Qingfeng to receive his promotion benefits. As a newly promoted yellow-ranked demon exorcist, he was entitled to receive a primordial cultivation pill and could choose a martial technique from the Scripture Vault Pavilion. However, it was Gu Qingfeng's first visit to the second floor of the Scripture Vault Pavilion. Faced with the numerous and varied types of martial arts, he was unsure of what to choose. Therefore, he simply closed his eyes and decided to pick one at random to test his luck. After closing his eyes for a moment, he finally had a feeling and opened his eyes. But the administrator, upon seeing the book he had chosen, advised him to pick another one because it was very dangerous. It turned out that the technique Gu Qingfeng had in his hand was called the Burn Bright Sword, an extremely extreme sword technique. It uses the bright fire energy gathered in the human body to attack the enemy, often hurting oneself before the enemy. It requires very high control, and a slight carelessness can lead to self-immolation. Therefore, the administrator advised Gu Qingfeng to choose again. There's no shame in that. The important thing is that it suits you. But his words only made Gu Qingfeng even more determined to keep this technique. Excited, he couldn't help but tremble all over, because the characteristics of this technique were just too suitable for him. He had both a strong physique and a talent for fire mastery. This sword technique seemed to be made for his current self. If the White Bone Wraithfire could be combined with this Burn Bright Sword, it would be like having an extra trump card. So Gu Qingfeng decided on the spot that this was the one he wanted. He also planned to pick up a golden bell shield on the way out. The administrator urgently advised him to be cautious, as the technique was truly dangerous. But Gu Qingfeng confidently stated, no hardship is too great to showcase success. Do you believe in fate? It has chosen me. If there's one person in the Great Flame Dynasty who can master this technique, it must be me, Gu Qingfeng. After saying this, Gu Qingfeng did not explain further and left the Scripture Vault Pavilion. The administrator, after seeing Gu Qingfeng off, couldn't help but sigh. Gu Qingfeng, I have harmed you. When Gu Qingfeng left the Scripture Vault Pavilion, he happened to run into Steward Huang. Seeing the golden bell shield in Gu Qingfeng's hand, Steward Huang was puzzled. Why are you taking this technique? Haven't you already mastered the golden bell shield? Gu Qingfeng scratched his head awkwardly, then quoted a sage's anecdote, to review the old and know the new, to repeatedly refine until reaching the peak. But this statement touched Steward Huang. He hadn't expected Gu Qingfeng to share such a profound way of the warrior principle so casually. Impressed, on his way back to report, Steward Huang secretly decided not to make things difficult for Gu Qingfeng unless explicitly ordered by his superior. But as he was about to enter the mansion to report, he found Fenghua standing outside, wearing a veil and showing no intention of entering. After some inquiry, it was revealed that Fenghua, in his pursuit of facing the phoenix, discovered that its location was actually his own home. Moreover, coincidentally, it had been thrown into a manure pit. Spirit weapons are extremely sharp, and it had pierced right to the bottom of the pit. The yard had already been cleaned by Fenghua just now, but there's still a bit of an odor. Coincidentally, he had heard that Steward Huang had a poor sense of smell, which was confirmed upon meeting him today. This made Steward Huang the perfect candidate for the task at hand. Thus, Fenghua took Steward Huang to the bottom of the manure pit to help retrieve the spirit weapon facing the phoenix. Looking at the feces, Steward Huang couldn't help but break into a cold sweat, feeling his sense of smell returning slightly, which was somewhat nauseating. Nevertheless, he jumped down and fished it out. Meanwhile, Gu Qingfeng was in the house, mastering the Golden Bell shield to a high level. Next, he planned to cultivate the Burn Bright sword. However, practicing it here might burn down the house, something he couldn't afford, so he decided to practice in the suburbs. Soon after, Gu Qingfeng arrived at the outskirts of Phoenix Tree County. The first step in cultivating the Burn Bright sword was to be continuously exposed to the sun for a long time, absorbing bright fire energy in a specific way. Since it's nighttime and there's no sun, Gu Qingfeng decides to skip the first step directly. This process involved letting the bright fire energy soak into one's inner energy, changing its nature. One had to refine and compress this bright fire-infused inner energy, nurturing it until it burst forth like fire. However, Gu Qingfeng, only at the third level of the energy-gathering realm, lacked inner energy. Therefore, he skipped to the second step, focusing on concentrating the fiery inner energy on the sword. The technique involved compressing and igniting this energy at a precise point to unleash it explosively. Without high mastery, one might self-immolate before even executing the technique. Reading this, Gu Qingfeng broke into a cold sweat, wondering about the intricacies of compression and ignition. Suddenly, he thought of compressing and igniting the white bone wraithfire in the same way. He called for his sword, summoning the Wood King's sword, and attempted to use the method of the Burn Bright sword to slash out the white bone wraithfire. If successful, this technique would be far stronger and faster than merely throwing out the white bone wraithfire. After several attempts, Gu Qingfeng managed to compress the white bone wraithfire onto the Wood King's sword, which seemed not so difficult. However, when he confidently executed the slash, the white bone wraithfire on the sword suddenly drifted upwards and exploded on the spot, covering him in soot. This was a bit too hasty. Nonetheless, Gu Qingfeng wasn't discouraged and tried again using the method described in the Burn Bright sword. As expected, it exploded again. After repeated failures, Gu Qingfeng finally succeeded in unleashing a highly concentrated sword energy that split a small mountain. The powerful sword energy continued its trajectory towards Phoenix Tree County. A loud boom followed, and the sky above Phoenix Tree County was illuminated with a blaze so bright it turned night into day. Having executed this strike, Gu Qingfeng finally understood the nature of the Burn Bright sword. High compression followed by an explosion. However, realizing the direction of the sword energy was towards Phoenix Tree County, he immediately sensed something was wrong. What if the explosion of the sword energy harmed others? Realizing this, Gu Qingfeng quickly turned and ran. Shortly after he left, a group of people arrived at the scene, led by the heaven-ranked demon exorcist of the Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau. Upon arriving, he immediately sensed the presence of white bone wraithfire. The method to refine white bone wraithfire was unique to the blood demon sect. Additionally, the sword marks on the ground clearly indicated they were made by combining white bone wraithfire with sword techniques. Thus, he deduced that the person who wielded the sword must be a blood demon sect grandmaster, proficient in both swordsmanship and fire control. Moreover, he believed the sword technique used was the Demon Quelling Bureau's Burn Bright sword. This meant that the person had either been to the Demon Quelling Bureau or that there was a spy within the bureau. The blood demon sect's biggest adversary was the Demon Quelling Bureau, so this could be a signal they were releasing against the bureau. He guessed their intention, sending an innate realm powerhouse to Phoenix Tree County to swing a sword at night, destroying a mountain but not harming people, was a clear provocation. Moreover, the choice of the Burn Bright sword indicated a spy in the Demon Quelling Bureau who knew its secrets. This made the purpose of the blood demon sect clear. They were after the Candle Dark sword. The Candle Dark sword, an earth rank medium level martial technique, and the mysterious rank medium level Burn Bright sword both originated from the incomplete heaven rank cross underworld flame sword. These two techniques, which Li Qianren had practiced, were incomplete even when combined. The incomplete texts of these two techniques couldn't reproduce the cross underworld flame sword in its entirety. Therefore, he speculated that the blood demon sect's overt probing was to unsettle him and reveal the location of the Candle Dark sword. But this actually confirmed that the original hiding place was safe and didn't need to be moved. Since the enemy had come to him, he planned to use the Candle Dark sword to lure them out and trap them in a net. This would not only eliminate a blood demon sect core member but also potentially complete the heaven rank technique if the enemy had other fragments. However, he decided to discuss this further with his colleagues. As he walked downstairs, he passed by the culprit, Gu Qingfeng. Later, Gu Qingfeng arrived at the resting room and was relieved to see everyone was fine. Today's experiment with the Burn Bright sword combined with white bone wraithfire was a resounding success, far more powerful than he expected. If he used this technique in the future, it could accidentally harm the wrong people and cause endless trouble. However, the last sword stroke was a fluke, and he might not be able to replicate it. This indicated the need for extensive practice to ensure stability and reduce accidents, but the power and noise of the technique made it impossible to practice secretly. Suddenly, Gu Qingfeng thought of using ordinary flames instead of white bone wraithfire. If he replaced white bone wraithfire with normal flames, the power would be much less. His talent in fire mastery meant he could control any flame, making no difference between normal flames and white bone wraithfire. The most important thing was to practice practice the Burn Bright sword without arousing suspicion. Having figured this out, Gu Qingfeng pulled out a primordial cultivation pill from his pocket. This pill was necessary for martial practitioners in the inner energy realm, but of limited use to someone in the energy gathering realm like himself. He hesitated, knowing that without it, he might never reach the inner energy realm. After a brief hesitation, he decided to take it. As the pill dissolved, a pure medicinal power filled his body, and Gu Qingfeng immediately began to absorb it using the Pure Bright technique. This scene drew praise from the surrounding demon exorcists for his diligence, practicing even in the resting hall and setting an example for them all. An hour later, Gu Qingfeng felt his internal power reaching a critical point, and he accidentally let out a thunderous fart, filling the resting room with an unbearable stench. However, Gu Qingfeng finally broke through to the 4th level of the energy gathering realm, reaching its pinnacle. He hadn't expected the primordial cultivation pill to be so effective that a few more could potentially advance him to the inner energy realm in minutes. Yet, the Demon Quelling Bureau was stingy, issuing the primordial cultivation pill only once. As a yellow-ranked demon exorcist, one could only obtain more pills by completing tasks and earning merits. With such pills available for rapid cultivation, who would want to toil away? So, one could only work daily to earn merits, living the life of an honest laborer. Thinking of work, Gu Qingfeng suddenly remembered that today was his first day reporting as a yellow-ranked demon exorcist, and he couldn't afford to be late. So, he immediately hurried back, but to his surprise, his direct superior turned out to be Yifenghua. No wonder Yifenghua was the referee in the recent competition. He replaced the deceased mysterious ranked demon exorcist, Mr. Yang, and was selecting subordinates. Gu Qingfeng realized he might be in trouble for refusing Yifenghua twice. With this in mind, Gu Qingfeng felt a sense of foreboding but still initiated the report. Subordinate Gu Qingfeng reporting for duty. However, Yifenghua remained silent, creating an awkward atmosphere, clearly intending to embarrass Gu Qingfeng. Fortunately, a one-eyed woman stretched lazily and greeted Gu Qingfeng, easing the awkwardness. She then approached Gu Qingfeng, placed her hand on his shoulder, and said with a smile, "I can only help you so much. You're late on your first day of attendance," completely disregarding the rules. "As a punishment, you'll lose a month's salary. I hope you'll take this as a lesson." She then turned to Yifenghua and asked, "Yifenghua, what do you think?" Yifenghua, with a somber expression, slowly uttered a word, "Acceptable." Gu Qingfeng was dumbfounded and inwardly complained, "Great, on my first day of work, I'm fined a month's salary. Looks like I'll be working for free this month. Are you two playing with me?" He retorted, "Stop talking nonsense. When I arrived, the sundial outside was just a hair's breadth from the appointed time. It's not my fault you didn't hear me report." Yifenghua, with a piercing gaze, replied, "I am merely enforcing the rules impartially. We can verify the time by the sundial outside. You could admit your mistake, and I might consider leniency." Gu Qingfeng just chuckled and said, "Lord He, what an authoritative display. It seems you're abusing your power to suppress others." This statement shocked the other demon exorcists in the room, who admired Gu Qingfeng's boldness for confronting a superior on his first day, though they wondered if he understood the principle of bowing under someone else's roof. Yifenghua, picking up his cup, calmly said, "Gu Qingfeng, do you realize the crime of slandering a superior?" Unintimidated, Gu Qingfeng countered, "Yifenghua, do you know the crime of framing a subordinate, coercion, and manipulating the competition?" As soon as these words were spoken, the entire room was shaken, and Yifenghua even crushed the cup in his hand, his face darkening as he spoke. "Such defiance! You must be tainted by demon evil. I will have you assigned to the demon quelling prison. Spend your life as a prison guard." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng was momentarily stunned, wondering if this was a stroke of luck. He had been worrying about an excuse to get transferred to the demon quelling prison, and now Yifenghua was offering it on a platter. Gu Qingfeng stepped forward, gratefully grabbed Yifenghua's hand, and tearfully expressed his thanks, secretly delighted in his heart. "The second layer demons, here I come." But this move baffled Yifenghua, who assumed Gu Qingfeng was acting out of fear. At this moment, the one-eyed woman stepped in, suggesting that Yifenghua, not being heartless, should reconsider since they were short-staffed after recent upheavals. Gu Qingfeng quickly interjected, "Don't pardon me. Please send me to the demon quelling prison right away." Hearing this, the one-eyed woman was infuriated by his stubbornness, admonishing him for not taking the opportunity to back down. Suddenly, Yifenghua coughed to interrupt, "Today, I'll be magnanimous and let this pass. Steward Huang, take them to choose their subordinates. I have documents to attend to." Yifenghua's leniency wasn't out of generosity, but because the demon quelling bureau was short-staffed, and he couldn't afford a problem so soon into his tenure. For Gu Qingfeng, it was a disappointing moment as his desired second-layer assignment seemed to slip away. Steward Huang then led Gu Qingfeng to select subordinates, explaining that each yellow-ranked demon exorcist could choose up to 5 people. Steward Huang introduced the new demon exorcists, among whom 4 were high-level inner energy realm masters, while Gu Qingfeng was only at the 3rd level of the energy gathering realm. The attendees were somewhat aware of Gu Qingfeng's deeds, but remained skeptical, seeing his strength as superficial due to his lower cultivation level. They believed that while Gu Qingfeng might be formidable in physical combat, he would be vulnerable against inner energy realm martial practitioners. Additionally, Suddenly, they viewed physical prowess as having a low ceiling compared to cultivation levels. In their eyes, Gu Qingfeng was the weakest among the five, which became evident during the selection phase as everyone else quickly gathered followers, leaving Gu Qingfeng with no one. It seemed he was being shunned by the others, given the limited number of trainee demon exorcists present, and Gu Qingfeng realized he might not recruit anyone at this rate. Therefore, Gu Qingfeng decided to take the initiative and started persuading others to join his team instead, arguing that although following a powerful leader might seem safer, they would be helpless against demons stronger than their leader. He assured them that if they joined his team, he would act as a shield in front of them, increasing their survival chances. Despite the general disdain towards Gu Qingfeng, there were exceptions, like the life-fearing Fatty Wang and the scholarly Su Fan, who were successfully persuaded by Gu Qingfeng. After selecting his subordinates, according to Demon Quelling Bureau's rules, each yellow-ranked demon exorcist was responsible for a specific area to manage demon-related incidents. This assignment was, of course, in the hands of mysterious ranked demon exorcist Manhwa. At this moment, Fatty Wang behind him was praying not to be assigned to Blackwater Village. Curious, Gu Qingfeng asked what was wrong with Blackwater Village and learned from Fatty Wang that the recently deceased mysterious ranked demon exorcist, Mr. Yang, died there in the dry bone forest. On a dark, windy night, Mr. Yang and 4 yellow-ranked demon exorcists were patrolling the dry bone forest when the bones suddenly turned into demons and killed Mr. Yang. Upon hearing this, a heaven-ranked demon exorcist angrily sent an earth rank and 3 mysterious ranked demon exorcists to Blackwater Village, but they returned empty-handed, concluding that the demon was not local and moved around. However, anyone with a brain could tell that these were just comforting words. Demons prefer dark places, and the dry bone forest had an even darker aura. The demon must be highly intelligent, hiding when demon exorcists arrived and re-emerging to commit crimes once they left. After Manhwa took over Mr. Yang's position, he was responsible for Dark Mountain County, Blackwater Village being one of its villages. Thus, Fatty Wang feared being assigned there and even asked Gu Qingfeng about his relationship with Manhwa, suggesting they request some leniency. Gu Qingfeng awkwardly smiled at Manhwa and said, "My relationship with Lord He is excellent. He will surely give me special consideration." Hearing this, Fatty Wang was overjoyed, thinking Gu Qingfeng had a good relationship with Manhwa. However, Manhwa coldly assigned Blackwater Village to Gu Qingfeng. Fatty Wang was stunned, questioning Gu Qingfeng's claim of a good relationship with Manhwa. Gu Qingfeng awkwardly nodded. "Yes, we have a history." Realizing the situation, Fatty Wang fell to his knees, understanding he had boarded a sinking ship. He suggested to Gu Qingfeng that they could just patrol the outskirts of Blackwater Village without entering to fulfill their duty. But Gu Qingfeng insisted that such deceit was not befitting of a demon exorcist, whose duty was to protect the people from demons. Fatty Wang glared at Su Fan, urging him to persuade Gu Qingfeng. Su Fan, however, solemnly agreed with Gu Qingfeng, saying, "The Lord is right. Our duty is to save the people from disaster and restore order. I have indeed come to the right place. Lord Gu is truly a hero." Hearing this, Fatty Wang was completely dumbfounded, questioning whether Su Fan was flattering or had really lost his mind, and wondered if it was still possible to prepare for his own demise. Gu Qingfeng turned with a smile, reassuring everyone, "Don't worry, with me here, mere demons are nothing to worry about. However, we still have 3 days before heading to Blackwater Village." Gu Qingfeng planned to use this time to practice the Burn Bright Sword, although using ordinary flames would be less powerful and more cumbersome due to the need to light them first. So, Gu Qingfeng thought of simplifying the process of igniting the flames, ideally having them ready as soon as he drew his sword. Suddenly, an idea struck him: why not use a lighter? He planned to forge the sword blade from special flint material, fill the scabbard with a special oil, and add a catch mechanism so that drawing the sword would ignite the oil. With his fire mastery talent, he wouldn't have to worry about the remaining oil in the scabbard igniting, as he could extinguish it. Feeling like a genius for his modern approach, Gu Qingfeng headed to the Demon Quelling Bureau's blacksmith to craft his weapon. Unexpectedly, the blacksmith, a fitness enthusiast, initially refused to take his order. Gu Qingfeng sighed at the typical public servant attitude, but then decided to use his financial influence, handing over money and the design. Upon seeing the money, the blacksmith's attitude changed drastically, and he began to study the design intensely. After a while, the blacksmith expressed his concern that a sword made from flint would be extremely fragile and unsuitable for combat. Gu Qingfeng anticipated this and instructed him to follow the design anyway, as he didn't intend to use the sword for fighting, but solely for performing the Burn Bright Sword technique. The blacksmith, understanding his intent, asked Gu Qingfeng to return in 5 days. Gu Qingfeng, realizing he would be heading to Blackwater Village in 3 days, couldn't take such a risk and offered more money for a 3-day completion. The blacksmith initially hesitated but agreed after seeing the extra money and got to work. Driven by the additional payment, the blacksmith completed the fire sword, named Yama by Gu Qingfeng, in just 2 days. For safety, Gu Qingfeng prepared extensively, including a demon-slaying sword blessed by a master, the Demon Quelling Bureau's Goose Feather Blade, and the regenerating regenerative and adaptable wood king sword he discovered during his practice. Additionally, he had 7 talismans and a bottle of energy-nourishing pill. With these preparations, Gu Qingfeng felt confident about the upcoming mission and called Fatty Wang and Su Fan to depart. However, Fatty Wang seemed to have gained even more weight, which Gu Qingfeng learned was due to Fatty Wang wearing an extra layer of thick armor out of fear, leaving Gu Qingfeng to marvel at his ability to move in such heavy armor. Subsequently, the group set off and finally arrived at Dark Mountain County's Blackwater Village by dusk. Seeing the peaceful scene in Blackwater Village, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but wonder if there really were demons here. Nevertheless, he decided to enter the village and take a look. As soon as they entered, an old man named Hu Liang, the village head, stopped them. After a brief exchange, Hu Liang recounted the recent events in the village. A month ago, a mysterious black wind began to blow through Blackwater Village, abducting children. Initially, villagers didn't pay much attention, attributing the disappearances to wild animals common in their mountainous region. However, when more children went missing, even from their homes, with witnesses claiming a blinding black wind was responsible, Hu Liang, who had encountered demons during his travels, reported the incidents to the Demon Quelling Bureau. That's when Mr. Yang's tragedy occurred. Strangely, after Mr. Yang's departure, no more children disappeared, as if the Earth-ranked demon exorcist's assertion of a mobile demon was true. After learning the full story, Gu Qingfeng told Hu Liang to return home, planning to explore the dry bone forest while there was still light. However, Fatty Wang grabbed his shoulder, suggesting they report back since there had been no demon disturbances for several days, indicating the demon might have left. Gu Qingfeng firmly rejected the idea, declaring his intention to stay in Blackwater Village overnight and threatening to expose Fatty Wang's cowardice if he left. Internally, Gu Qingfeng hoped to encounter a demon for a chance to level up. Seeing no escape, Fatty Wang hastily agreed to stay. Their attention was then caught by a candied hawthorn seller, especially attracting Fatty Wang, who asked Gu Qingfeng and Su Fan if they wanted some. As Su Fan was about to respond, Gu Qingfeng said he'd like one. Understanding the cue, Fatty Wang hurried after the vendor without buying for Su Fan. However, no matter how much Fatty Wang called, the vendor, as if deaf, walked into an alley and disappeared. Fatty Wang followed but soon screamed in terror. When Gu Qingfeng arrived, he found Fatty Wang pointing at a dead end, exclaiming that the vendor had vanished. Gu Qingfeng and Su Fan thoroughly inspected the area, finding no traces of traps or hidden exits. Considering Fatty Wang's martial practitioner level, the vendor's disappearance indicated they were at least a true energy realm practitioner or a hidden expert. If so, they could have solved the child abduction issue themselves, suggesting the vendor was a demon. Now, they needed evidence to confirm this theory. Gu Qingfeng then turned his attention to a few children playing nearby. Believing they must have seen something while playing in the area, he approached a child with a top-knot hairstyle to inquire if they had seen any suspicious persons recently. Unexpectedly, the child responded with a question. Suspicious? Who's more suspicious than you? Fatty Wang, infuriated by the child's response, rolled up his sleeves and threatened to teach the child a lesson, but to his surprise, Su Fan made no move to intervene, leaving him embarrassed. Gu Qingfeng handed 2 copper coins to the child, asking if they had seen a candied hawthorn seller recently. To his astonishment, after taking the money, the child claimed not to have seen any such vendor. Gu Qingfeng was frustrated, questioning why the child had taken the money without providing any information, when suddenly the sky darkened unexpectedly. Startled, Fatty Wang grabbed Gu Qingfeng's hand, wanting to leave the place quickly. However, at that moment, a hand landed on his shoulder, and village head Hu Liang appeared behind them, inviting them to dine at his home, having prepared a meal already. Gu Qingfeng readily agreed, but Fatty Wang, sensing something sinister in the village, urged Gu Qingfeng to leave early. Gu Qingfeng dismissed his concerns, but when he turned around, he noticed that the children they had just seen were now gone. Sensing something amiss with these consecutive disappearances, Gu Qingfeng turned to Hu Liang and remarked sarcastically about the interesting nature of the village, people vanishing in an instant. However, Hu Liang responded with surprise, questioning why there would be children outside at such a late hour, especially after recent demon disturbances. Fatty Wang clung to Gu Qingfeng in fear upon hearing this. Gu Qingfeng pondered if Hu Liang was telling the truth, then both the vendor and the children must have been demons, and even suspected something might be amiss with the village head and the entire village. To test his theory, Gu Qingfeng devised a small experiment, asking Su Fan and Fatty Wang to turn their heads and then look back on the count of 3 to see if Hu Liang would also disappear. As expected, when they turned back, Hu Liang was gone, which terrified Fatty Wang, who clung to Su Fan. Although Gu Qingfeng wasn't scared, he was annoyed. His desire for a candied hawthorn went unfulfilled. He was tricked out of 2 copper coins by the children, and even the village head seemed to be playing tricks on him. Frustrated, Gu Qingfeng instructed Fatty Wang and Su Fan to search every house in the village, determined to find the missing people. However, when Fatty Wang and Su Fan returned after searching, their findings were shockingly identical. Both the east and west sides of the village were completely deserted. Growing increasingly fearful, Fatty Wang suggested they should return and call for backup. Gu Qingfeng Feng, however, ignored him, wondering if they had been under an illusion since entering the village. With this in mind, he immediately inquired of his system why he hadn't received any feedback on getting stronger despite being under an illusion. The system replied there were two possibilities. 1. The illusion wasn't cast by a demon but was man-made. 2. It was a demon's illusion similar to a sleight of hand, causing no harm and thus triggering no system response. Gu Qingfeng realized the distinction. Back then, in the demon-quelling prison, I was under the illusion of the eye demon. It was the eye demon trying to invade my brain with an illusion to control my body, which was an attack, thus triggering the system's response. But after taming the eye demon, I could still use it to cast illusions on myself, because it wasn't launching an attack, and this time, I didn't receive the slightest harm, so the system had no reaction at all. Having understood, Gu Qingfeng drew his goose feather blade, determined to investigate the dry bone forest. Arriving at the dry bone forest with Fatty Wong and Su Fan, Gu Qingfeng loudly called out for Hu Liang, then began searching unabashedly, even laughing eerily as if he were at home. Fatty Wong and Su Fan marveled internally at Gu Qingfeng's fearlessness, pondering who the real demon was. As Gu Qingfeng seemed too terrifying, they felt a strange sense of security with Gu Qingfeng. Unlike other demon-quelling bureau teams, fearlessly sought out demons instead of cautiously avoiding them. Fatty Wong and Su Fan resolved never to deceive Gu Qingfeng, while the hidden demon in the forest doubted if Gu Qingfeng was even human for his lack of fear. The demon hesitated to attack, wary of drawing the demon-quelling bureau's attention. Gu Qingfeng and his companions eventually reached a graveyard where Gu Qingfeng, drawing on his gaming experience, expected a boss battle but found no response from the tombstones. This led him to question his approach. Suddenly, Fatty Wong screamed and collapsed, pointing at a tombstone and muttering incoherently. Gu Qingfeng discovered the tombstone bore Hu Liang's name, and Fatty Wong, recalling Hu Liang's recent dinner invitation, felt weak at the knees. Realizing Hu Liang was deceased, Gu Qingfeng concluded that the tombstones must belong to Blackwater Village's residents and that they had encountered Hu Liang's soul. Angry, Gu Qingfeng kicked Hu Liang's tombstone to pieces and instructed Fatty Wong and Su Fan to dig up the grave. Both hesitated, fearing divine retribution for such an act, but eventually complied under Gu Qingfeng's authority. Soon, they unearthed a coffin, which Gu Qingfeng leaped into and kicked open, revealing a withered corpse. Shockingly, the corpse's eyes suddenly opened, and it stood up stiffly, appearing to have turned into a zombie. Gu Qingfeng didn't care what the entity had become. He just kicked it, sending it flying away. That's what you get for deceiving me. However, as Su Fan observed the flying Hu Liang, he felt something was amiss, noting that the corpse seemed recently deceased yet had a heavy odor of decay. Although Hu Liang had turned into a zombie, since the transformation was recent and he was not a martial practitioner in life, he was just a low-level zombie, roughly equivalent to the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm, and posed no threat. Su Fan deduced that the entity that deceived Gu Qingfeng was Hu Liang's soul, and the zombie they were now seeing was Hu Liang's reanimated corpse, which lacked intelligence. Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng felt displeased, realizing that they hadn't found the main culprit and their search might have been in vain. Suddenly, a strange purple mist began to emanate from Hu Liang's body, spreading around the graveyard. Innumerable withered hands then emerged from the ground, and a horde of zombies began to attack them. Facing the overwhelming number of zombies, Fatty Wong and Su Fan struggled to cope and thought of retreating. However, Gu Qingfeng was excited and declared there was no need to retreat, as the real show was just beginning. He stood still, allowing the zombies to swarm him. Fatty Wong and Su Fan watched in concern, but the next moment, Gu Qingfeng activated his golden bell shield, repelling the zombies. Yet, Gu Qingfeng found the situation not thrilling enough and decided to test the talismans given by the Demon-Quelling Bureau on the remaining zombies. Gu Qingfeng picked up a talisman and threw it at a zombie. However, the trajectory of the talisman floated in the air for a long time before finally landing on the zombie. The power of the talisman was too weak. A single talisman could only deal with one zombie, which was less effective than fighting by himself. He then tried the brighter fire talismans, which were more scarce and appeared more valuable. As expected, the fire talisman engulfed several zombies in flames, turning them into dark vapors. Fatty Wong and Su Fan were astonished by the power of the fire talisman, but Gu Qingfeng was less satisfied. Meanwhile, a dark figure in a tree behind them was observing and muttered, "Such a strong body, and even mastered golden bell shield and iron cloth robe. His blood quality must be higher than an average true energy realm martial practitioner, perfect for blood god's requirement. No need to lure a mysterious rank demon exorcist anymore." Then, controlling strands of strange purple mist, the figure directed them towards Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng instinctively dodged the purple mist, but to his surprise, when it hit the ground, it formed a vortex that started pulling in surrounding body parts. Soon, numerous body parts accumulated into a small mountain and merged into a disgusting monster towering over 10 meters tall. Confronted with the giant monster assembled from countless body parts, Fatty Wong and Su Fan turned pale with fear, but Gu Qingfeng was exhilarated. He was curious about the monster's strength and told Fatty Wong and Su Fan to keep their distance. Then, he threw another bright fire talisman, which pierced through the monster's waist with a loud bang. Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but criticize. This monster is too weak. However, the monster's waist rapidly regenerated in just a few seconds. Su Fan urgently advised Gu Qingfeng that such aggregate monsters typically have a core, and the core of this zombie-made creature must be its head. Impatient, Gu Qingfeng dismissed the idea of searching for the core. He drew Yama and executed the Burn Bright sword, engulfing the giant monster in flames and reducing it to ashes. Seeing this scene, Su Fan couldn't help but ask, "Lord Gu, are you really only at the 4th level of the energy-gathering realm? Are you truly not a powerful figure hiding your strength to experience life?" Gu Qingfeng casually denied it and continued deeper into the dry bone forest, urging them to follow as they hadn't found the deceiver yet. However, shortly after, Su Fan mysteriously vanished. To understand the nature of their disappearance, Gu Qingfeng decided to use Fatty Wong for an experiment. As expected, when he turned back, Fatty Wong was being dragged into a water sphere, struggling silently. Gu Qingfeng immediately dived into the water sphere and, following a spatial shift, they woke up to the same scene as when they first arrived at Blackwater Village. At that moment, the previously vanished Su Fan reappeared. Seeing Su Fan, Fatty Wong became alert and stepped in front of Gu Qingfeng, warning that this person couldn't be the real Su Fan. Upon hearing this, Su Fan also expressed doubts about Fatty Wong's identity, suspecting him to be the demon. As the two argued back and forth without reaching a conclusion, Gu Qingfeng thought of a simple test: have each of them cut him lightly with a knife to see the system's reaction and determine if they were demons. Although Fatty Wong and Su Fan were initially bewildered by this request, they complied, knowing Gu Qingfeng's golden bell shield and iron cloth robe could easily withstand a light touch. After they did so, Gu Qingfeng checked the system panel and found no points were awarded, confirming they were human and not demons. Su Fan, who had arrived earlier, suggests that the situation here is likely the dark domain mentioned in the book, an other-dimensional space independent of reality, created by powerful and uniquely talented demons. These demons can resonate with the laws of nature, twisting reality to form their own domains. Gu Qingfeng expressed his confusion, questioning how beings less powerful than grandmasters could resonate with the laws of nature, something even grandmasters cannot do. Su Fan agreed, admitting his own lack of understanding and speculating that the world might favor demons more. He emphasized that to escape a dark domain, they must first understand its rules. Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng instantly became excited. Isn't this just like an escape room game? Moreover, this time the demon is so unique. If he could gain some powerful talent or skill from it, wouldn't that be a huge windfall? So, he immediately rushed towards Blackwater Village. Fatty Wong asked Su Fan what they should be wary of, but before Su Fan could advise caution, Gu Qingfeng rushed at Liang and punched him, shattering him like glass. Fatty Wong and Su Fan were astonished to see Liang break apart. Su Fan muttered to himself in disbelief that they were facing a mirror demon thought to have died 200 years ago. Gu Qingfeng, meanwhile, squatted to examine the shattered pieces of Liang, puzzled why he turned into a mirror. Before Su Fan could warn him, Gu Qingfeng picked up a piece and looked into it, only to be sucked into the mirror and vanish. Witnessing this, Su Fan panicked, realizing Gu Qingfeng had been absorbed by the mirror demon, and lamented that after overcoming so many challenges, Gu Qingfeng had fallen into the trap. They were in the mirror demon's dark domain, where looking into a mirror results in being pulled into a mirrored space, where one must defeat a duplicate of oneself to escape. 200 years ago, the Blood Demon emerged, founding the Blood Demon sect and gathering demonic beings, with the strongest 7 known as the 7 Demon Generals, among whom the Mirror Demon was the 3rd. After hearing this, Fatty Wong asked Su Fan what they should do now and whether Gu Qingfeng had any chance of winning against the Mirror Demon, given Su Fan's knowledge of it. Su Fan's response was pessimistic, stating it was impossible to win, as the duplicate would always triumph due to its tirelessness, fearlessness, emotionlessness, and absolute rationality, ensuring it would not make mistakes, unlike humans. He recalled a famous quote by the Mirror Demon from 200 years ago: "The only one who can defeat you is yourself." Since Gu Qingfeng was already absorbed, they should look for a way out, as they would be trapped if Gu Qingfeng died. Meanwhile, inside the mirrored space, Gu Qingfeng was curiously examining his duplicate, noting it looked exactly like him and was equally handsome. This comment, overheard by the duplicate, prompted it to sarcastically ask Gu Qingfeng if he had no shame. Gu Qingfeng was startled, not expecting the duplicate to speak, but reasoned that since it was an independent copy of himself, it would naturally speak. However, he was more concerned about whether the system could be duplicated, and upon learning from the system that it couldn't, he felt confident about the situation, realizing this was a great opportunity to become stronger, and possibly a bug, since the duplicate's strength equaled his. He could continuously grow stronger as they fought each other. Emboldened by this thought, Gu Qingfeng threw a punch at the duplicate, which responded in kind, their fists colliding without any advantage. Neither was injured due to their Vidra body, surprising Gu Qingfeng that the duplicate also possessed this skill. He then drew the Wood King sword and stabbed it into the ground, causing numerous vines to rise and envelop the duplicate, transforming transforming the space into a forest. This move was Wood King Sword's special technique. 1,000 trees create a forest. All things become a wilderness. The myriad forms of the universe, still formidable despite the sword's downgraded level. Gu Qingfeng had never used this technique against anyone else before, as no one had pushed him to exert his full strength until now. However, before Gu Qingfeng could rejoice for long, the duplicate, entangled in vines, broke free and executed the Wood King Sword's technique as well. Soon, numerous vines intertwined, making it difficult to distinguish between them, and then they exploded with a loud bang. Gu Qingfeng hadn't expected this demonic entity to replicate even a mysterious rank spirit weapon truly worthy of being one of the 7 demon generals. He then drew his Wood King Sword, using his fire mastery talent to imbue it with Grandmaster level White Bone Wraithfire, and unleashed the Burn Bright Sword at the duplicate. The duplicate, undeterred, countered with a black sword energy of its own, neutralizing Gu Qingfeng's attack. Gu Qingfeng was surprised that the duplicate also possessed the fire mastery talent. The duplicate then mocked, feeling desperate yet unexpectedly. Gu Qingfeng simply lay down, urging the duplicate to attack quickly and not waste time. This response left the duplicate bewildered. "You're giving up already. Won't you try again?" Gu Qingfeng thought it futile to continue fighting, preferring to wait and gain strength. The duplicate, unsure of Gu Qingfeng's tactics but confident in their equal power, launched an attack with the Wood King Sword, binding Gu Qingfeng with numerous black vines. It swiftly approached and pummeled Gu Qingfeng, who remained unscathed, prompting him to scold the duplicate for not using the more effective Burn Bright Sword, powered by White Bone Wraithfire. As the duplicate realized this, a blood shadow suddenly entered its body, altering its aura completely, as if it had transformed into a different entity. Gu Qingfeng instantly understood the true master had arrived and taunted. "I know you're the Mirror Demon, the 3rd of the 7 demon generals." This statement struck a nerve with the Mirror Demon, who, holding Gu Qingfeng's chin, corrected him. "I'm the 2nd. In terms of strength and talent, how could I be inferior to that one? I am indeed the 2nd strongest Underlord Blood Demon." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng realized there were internal conflicts among the 7 demon generals, and then asked the Mirror Demon about his intentions. The Mirror Demon, planting the Wood King Sword into the ground, straightforwardly proposed that Gu Qingfeng, with his strength comparable to a Grandmaster despite his young age, should submit to him and assist in reviving Lord Blood Demon in exchange for his life. Upon hearing this, Gu Qingfeng suddenly had an epiphany. "So, you killed all the people in Blackwater Village and lured the demon exorcist here just to resurrect the Blood Demon? That's right, you're somewhat intelligent. I originally planned to use your blood to sacrifice to the Blood God, but considering your strength, I reluctantly offer to take you into the Blood Demon sect. Are you willing to submit? But haven't you already created a copy of me? Why do you still need me to submit?" It turns out that the copy cannot leave the mirror space. If Gu Qingfeng dies, the copy will die too. Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng burst into laughter. Without asking anything, the Mirror Demon had revealed his entire plan. Was he so eager for others to know he wanted to resurrect the Blood Demon? Indeed, the saying villains die because of their verbosity isn't without reason. The Mirror Demon scoffed. "Is there a need to hide anything from a dead man?" But Gu Qingfeng sighed. "What an idiot. No wonder you're the 3rd one." This remark instantly enraged the Mirror Demon, who unleashed the Burn Bright Sword at Gu Qingfeng. This was exactly what Gu Qingfeng had been waiting for. He had engaged in lengthy conversation just to provoke this attack and test whether it could break the limit of his Vidra body. For this, he had even deliberately turned off his fire mastery talent, allowing the sword to strike him. A loud boom ensued, and the system notified that the host was attacked by the Mirror Demon, adding 1,000 to his defense. Congratulations were in order for breaking the defense limit, evolving the Vidra body into the Vidra indestructible body. Accompanied by the system's prompt, Gu Qingfeng felt himself grow stronger, a thrilling sensation. He continued to provoke. "Hey, number 3, is that all you've got?" Enraged, the Mirror Demon relentlessly executed dozens of Burn Bright Swords, greatly boosting Gu Qingfeng's defense. However, after repeated unsuccessful attacks, the Mirror Demon's stamina started to falter. Trembling, he asked Gu Qingfeng what kind of constitution he had that even Grandmaster level attacks were ineffective against him. Contrary to expectation, Gu Qingfeng angrily retorted, "You are my copy. Don't you know what kind of constitution I have? Didn't you evolve with me?" At these words, the Mirror Demon was taken aback. "Evolve? What evolution?" With this response, Gu Qingfeng instantly understood the weakness of the Mirror Demon. The Mirror Demon's copy was fixed at the moment of entering the mirror space. This meant if he evolved inside the mirror space, the copy wouldn't become stronger. No wonder the Mirror Demon was defeated 200 years ago. Someone must have discovered his secret. With this realization, Gu Qingfeng slowly approached the Mirror Demon, then coldly said, "I'll give you one last chance. If you have any powerful moves, use them now, or you'll lose the opportunity." After speaking, Gu Qingfeng even made a throat-slitting gesture to intimidate the Mirror Demon. The Mirror Demon, frightened by his actions, kept retreating. Seeing this, Gu Qingfeng knew his guess was right. This Mirror Demon was nothing but a one-trick pony. Apart from the ability to copy, while he could replicate others, he couldn't copy Gu Qingfeng's system. The copy had strong physical defense and could control flames. Its strongest move, of Burn Bright Sword reached the Grandmaster level. Thus, against such attacks, the Fire Mastery talent could only mitigate damage, not nullify it. Now that the Vidra body had evolved, Gu Qingfeng wondered if the Burn Bright Sword could still harm him, contemplating whether to entice the Mirror Demon to strike him and test the limits of his Vidra indestructible body. Gu Qingfeng flashed behind the Mirror Demon and punched hard on his golden bell shield, shattering it with a crack. The Mirror Demon, incredulous, exclaimed, "Impossible," before being sent flying by Gu Qingfeng's punch. The more impossible part was yet to come. Gu Qingfeng, with a tap of his foot, pursued the Mirror Demon in the air and launched over a dozen attacks, rendering the Mirror Demon defenseless. He finally landed in a large crater, weeping in frustration. Why is the original so much stronger than the copy? Gu Qingfeng, stepping on his head, coldly said, "If these are your last words, then goodbye." At this, fear flashed across the Mirror Demon's face. "Wait, you can't kill me. I am the most favored subordinate of the Blood Demon Lord. I have a mark left by him. If you kill me, the mark will be imprinted on you, and the Blood Demon Lord will never let you off." Upon hearing this, Gu Qingfeng burst into laughter. "Buy one, get one free deal? Then I must kill you." The Mirror Demon was stunned, realizing the script wasn't going as planned. He then threatened Gu Qingfeng, "Don't be arrogant. The Blood Demon Lord's power is above that of a Grandmaster. Killing you would be effortless." To his surprise, Gu Qingfeng seemed even more thrilled. "Above a Grandmaster? That's fantastic." This unexpected response completely overwhelmed the Mirror Demon, who couldn't understand what was happening. Suddenly, Gu Qingfeng grabbed his neck, lifted him, and confirmed, "Are you sure you can leave a mark on me? Don't die without leaving it. Or who do I go to for answers?" The Mirror Demon's face was filled with disbelief. He hadn't expected Gu Qingfeng to really want to kill him. Had he fallen behind the times? It had only been 200 years. Had the fearsome reputation of the Blood Demon Lord, once enough to make children cry, become so ineffective? Gu Qingfeng then tightened his grip and coldly stated, "I hate being lied to the most. You've deceived me several times using the souls of Blackwater Village's villagers, so you must die." The Mirror Demon, sweating profusely, hurriedly explained, "I wasn't deceiving you. I just wanted to scare you away, not knowing you'd be so fierce." But Gu Qingfeng, raising his fist in anger, said, "Most importantly, you tricked me out of 2 copper coins." The Mirror Demon was baffled. "What coins? That's none of my business." Just as Gu Qingfeng was about to strangle him, the Mirror Demon revealed a sinister smile. "Villains die because they talk too much, but it's not me who will die of it, it's you." As he spoke, his body turned into black smoke and swiftly entered Gu Qingfeng's body, attempting to take over and turn him into a mirror slave. Unfortunately for him, he was facing Gu Qingfeng. A system notification followed. "Host attacked by Mirror Demon, mirror image clone incubating." Meanwhile, the Mirror Demon's screams echoed inside Gu Qingfeng's body as he began to disintegrate. Unexpectedly, Gu Qingfeng also mastered the mirror image clone technique, appearing before the Mirror Demon. As the Mirror Demon was about to be completely dissolved, he desperately cried out for the Blood God to save him. A drop of blood shot out from his body, accompanied by a curse. "Useless creature, the resurrection of the true being is imminent, yet I have to waste power on someone like you. After this, bring 10,000 people to sacrifice to me." This drop of blood turned out to be one of the Blood Demon's essence blood, and upon encountering Gu Qingfeng's flesh, it became excited, intending to transform Gu Qingfeng's body into its vessel. Instantly, it split into numerous smaller droplets, enveloping the area around Gu Qingfeng. In just a moment, the Mirror Demon's mirror space turned blood red and began to erode Gu Qingfeng's flesh. The system alerted, "Host attacked by Blood God. Bloodline concentration increase, +10, +10, +10." Along with the system's prompts, Blood God's screams could be heard as it was gradually disintegrating. Then, the system announced, "Congratulations, host, for acquiring the divine ability, Mirror Image Clone. It allows the creation of a clone identical to the host in appearance and strength, with a duration dependent on the host's cultivation level. Current duration, 1 incense sticks time." Seeing the description of Mirror Image Clone, Gu Qingfeng was thrilled. This was the Mirror Demon's skill, but without the limitation of the mirror space. Though the duration was short, it wasn't a problem, as it would increase with his cultivation level. The system then chimed in again, "Congratulations, host, your bloodline concentration has reached a critical value. Bloodline Awakening is available." Gu Qingfeng mused, "Is my luck that good today? But what is Bloodline Awakening?" The system explained that this was a necessary path for Bloodline Awakening. Just then, something seemed to fly out of his body. On closer inspection, it was a remnant soul of the Blood Demon, which then attacked Gu Qingfeng. The system alerted, "You are attacked by the Blood Demon's remnant soul. Soul power increase, +100, +100, +100. As the prompt sounded, the remnant soul began to disintegrate and eventually screamed, vanishing within the mirror space. The system then delivered another notification, "Congratulations, host, on multiple breakthroughs of soul power limit. Acquired talents, sharp ears and bright eyes. Never forget what you see. Clear and bright spiritual platform, inner vision, spiritual sense." Even the Blood God became Gu Qingfeng's experience for leveling up, and also left behind some fragments of the Blood Demon's memory. After absorbing these fragments, Gu Qingfeng learned that the blood demon had been besieged by the Righteous Alliance years ago. Although it wasn't completely destroyed, its essence was severely damaged. The essence transformed into 36 drops of blood god, needing blood to restore the essence for resurrection. Each drop of blood god, after absorbing blood and reviving, would reconvene to bring back the blood demon to the world. It was imaginable how many atrocious acts the blood demon sect committed over 200 years to resurrect the blood demon. Although Gu Qingfeng had now merged with one drop of blood god, this didn't hinder the resurrection of the blood demon. It would only weaken its power compared to before. After sorting out these details, Gu Qingfeng began to examine the changes in his body. The system had alerted him that he could undergo a bloodline awakening, but he didn't feel any different, so he immediately asked the system about it. The system replied that the power in the bloodline was inherent to his body and not something provided by the system. Therefore, it couldn't assist him, and he had to awaken it on his own. As for what his ancestral bloodline was, he would find out after the awakening. However, bloodline awakening wasn't suitable to be done in the current location. It was better to wait until returning to the Demon Quelling Bureau. Accepting this response, Gu Qingfeng didn't dwell on it too much and inquired about his other skills. The system promptly provided detailed introductions to several of his newly acquired talents: sharp ears and bright eyes, enhanced perception, improving hearing and vision, never forget what you see, the ability to remember any book he has read, clear and bright spiritual platform, enhanced resistance to illusions and external evil invasions, keeping the mind clear and less likely to lose sanity. It also enhances comprehension and reduces the risk of deviating during cultivation. Inner vision, the ability to see the internal organs, meridians, and elixir field within the body. Although an auxiliary skill, it is extremely effective for cultivation, allowing the clear vision of the meridians and pathways during the circulation of primal energy within the body, reducing the likelihood of entering a wrong path in cultivation. Spiritual sense, a sense independent of the 5 basic senses, capable of foreseeing danger, detecting others' malice, and sensing when being spied upon. Additionally, Gu Qingfeng acquired a skill sponsored by the blood demon, one of the blood demon's 36 techniques, rebirth from a drop of blood. This basic skill of the blood demon's resurrection meant that even if his body was destroyed, as long as a single drop of blood remained, he could be reborn. This skill was practically a lifesaver. The ability to resurrect as long as the essence blood was preserved was like having an extra life. Such a powerful skill was indeed a huge gain. Now, I can go all out against demons. Just then, countless cracks appeared in the space above, and a piece of debris fell down, hitting Gu Qingfeng on the head. He realized that the mirror demon's death had caused the collapse of the mirror space he created. Once the mirror space completely disintegrated, Gu Qingfeng found himself back in the dry bone forest, but Fatty Wong and Su Fan were nowhere to be seen. Just as he was about to call out for them, both fell out of the mirror space. Seeing themselves back in the dry bone forest, Su Fan was incredulous, and Fatty Wong suspected it might be another trick by the mirror demon. Gu Qingfeng approached them and explained, "I killed the mirror demon. His death allowed you to escape from the mirror space." But Fatty Wong and Su Fan, seeing Gu Qingfeng's disheveled appearance, doubted his words. After all, the mirror demon was one of the 7 demon generals, not someone even a grandmaster could easily claim to have killed. To them, Gu Qingfeng's claim seemed either boastful or false. Gu Qingfeng, not wanting to waste words, took off Su Fan's headband, tied it around his head, and suggested, "If you don't believe me, cut me with a knife like last time to see if I'm real." This convinced Fatty Wong and Su Fan to a large extent, as not many would ask others to test their authenticity in such a manner. However, just as they contemplated this, a huge crack appeared in the space above the dark domain, and the entire area began to shake violently. Realizing the dark domain was still collapsing, Su Fan urgently suggested they run. If they didn't leave before the collapse, they would be shredded to pieces by the spatial forces. They hurried towards the village entrance, which was the exit of the dark domain. As the domain collapsed, the exit would surely open, but before they could get far, a group of souls blocked their path. Fatty Wong and Su Fan turned to run, but Gu Qingfeng did the opposite. He shouted for them to go ahead while he covered their retreat. In his mind, he was pleased with his plan. The collapse of the dark domain will cause a spatial breakdown. I'll be subjected to the spatial forces. That's spatial power. By doing this, I can experience the spatial force and also impress Fatty Wong and Su Fan, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm so smart. However, Fatty Wong, not catching the hint, remarked, "Gu Qingfeng, those souls were ordinary people in life. Even as souls, they're not strong. With our speed, they definitely can't catch up. There's no need for a rear guard." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng was momentarily embarrassed, then turned to Fatty Wong and scolded him, "Why do you have to talk so much? Can't I just want to cover our retreat? Both of you just get lost and don't hinder my performance." Fatty Wong wanted to say something else, but Su Fan quickly covered his mouth and wisely pushed Fatty Wong away, leaving the area. Gu Qingfeng then vented his anger on the souls, blaming them for his embarrassment. He swung his fists at the souls, scattering them with a loud bang. The space above the dark domain finally couldn't bear the strain and began to completely collapse. The spatial cracks spread towards Gu Qingfeng. At this moment, the system announced, "You have been attacked by the mirror demon. Spatial attribute increase, +100, +100, +100. Congratulations, host, on acquiring other dimensional space." As the system prompt ended, Gu Qingfeng opened his eyes and began to review the properties of other dimensional space. It turned out to be a personal space similar to the dark domain, also referred to as a mini-world. Its functions included storage, housing living beings, and farming. Its rules were stable and similar to the real world. Moreover, the other dimensional space could cover the entire Blackwater village. In this space, he was the master, capable of keeping demon slaves and making them survive in accordance with the same survival laws as the real world, always ready to obey his commands. Excited by the system's explanation, Gu Qingfeng started fantasizing about some interesting little toys and a beautiful life beckoning him. However, the system interrupted his pleasant daydream, reminding him, "Host, your subordinates are still waiting outside. Shall we leave now?" Gu Qingfeng decided to leave, and as he spoke, a huge portal appeared in front of him. He left through the portal. Meanwhile, Fatty Wong and Su Fan, looking at the gradually closing exit, fell silent. Su Fan thought Gu Qingfeng went to take revenge on the souls, as they had deceived him. Fatty Wong nodded in agreement, pondering how petty Gu Qingfeng could be. Just because he was tricked once, he went all out for revenge. Ever since those three scamps tricked Gu Qingfeng out of a few copper coins, everything had gone haywire. Look at him now, not willing to return, having desecrated graves and destroyed corpses, and now scattering souls to the winds. Unbeknownst to Fatty Wong and Su Fan, Gu Qingfeng had overheard their entire conversation. Angered, Gu Qingfeng drew his Wood King sword and held it to Fatty Wong's neck, abruptly halting their discussion. Fatty Wong quickly changed his tune. "Gu Qingfeng, you finally came out safely. I've been praying for your safety all this time." Gu Qingfeng mockingly retorted, "Get lost. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll take you back to the Demon Quelling Bureau for a reward. Whether I punish you depends on my mood." Soon after, they returned to the Demon Quelling Bureau and reported the incident of defeating the Mirror Demon in Blackwater Village. He Fenghua was astonished and looked at the Demon Exorcism command with disbelief. Fortunately, Gu Qingfeng was prepared and allowed He Fenghua to inspect the death aura in the Demon Exorcism command, something that couldn't be faked. He Fenghua placed his hand on his forehead and sternly warned Gu Qingfeng, "If I find out you've cheated, you're done." He then began inspecting the death aura in the exorcism token, transporting his consciousness into its space. In the exorcism token space, demon deaths were recorded as light strips. The stronger the demon, the larger and thicker the strip required for recording. He Fenghua noticed that although the demons in Gu Qingfeng's token were not of high realm, mostly at the 4th level of energy gathering realm, there were many of them, and there was one almost solidified shadow, indicating Gu Qingfeng had indeed killed the mirror demon. After verifying the authenticity, He Fenghua fell into a brief contemplation, considering taking credit for this significant achievement for himself. He then waved his hand, telling Gu Qingfeng and the others to go back and rest. He would keep the exorcism token for the time being and report to the higher-ups for their rewards. Gu Qingfeng thanked him, though he was somewhat puzzled by He Fenghua's sudden kindness, suspecting ulterior motives. However, he didn't voice his suspicions and left as per He Fenghua's suggestion. After they left, He Fenghua could no longer suppress his joy, laughing as he looked at the wall full of exorcism tokens. He pondered where to place Gu Qingfeng's token, thinking of taking all the credit. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. "He Fenghua, what are you laughing about?" Gu Qingfeng peeked in, greeting He Fenghua, who turned and replied, "How can you eavesdrop on what I'm saying? Gu Qingfeng, you should change this habit, and I'm just happy for you. Your achievements also reflect well on me as your superior." Realizing what was happening, Gu Qingfeng feigned enlightenment. "I see. I was scared you were trying to take credit for my achievements." He Fenghua felt a bit guilty but maintained a tough front. "Do you really think so poorly of your superior? I would never stoop to such petty acts. Besides, the exorcism token with the aura of demon deaths is registered under your name at the Demon Quelling Bureau. Is there anything else you need? If not, you may leave." After sending Gu Qingfeng away, He Fenghua looked around the doorway, ensuring no one was around, then shut the door and sighed in relief, unable to resist laughing aloud. "The fool actually believed me. The exorcism token might be his, but the aura inside can be transferred using a formation. I just need to find a master of formations to transfer all that aura to my token, and all the credit will be mine. Once I solidify my accomplishments, his low rank and lack of influence won't matter. No one will believe him. My promotion to Earth rank demon exorcist is only a matter of time." However, just as he was reveling in his plans, Gu Qingfeng's head peeked in through the window again. "He Fenghua, what are you laughing about this time?" He Fenghua, trying to appear calm, asked Gu Qingfeng what he wanted. Panicking inside, unsure if Gu Qingfeng had overheard his scheming, the aura transfer hadn't been completed yet, and he couldn't afford any complications. Gu Qingfeng casually mentioned, "I forgot to take my exorcism token." Hearing this, He Fenghua became frantic. "If you take the token, how can I claim your achievements? This matter involves the 7 demon generals. I need to meet the heaven-ranked demon exorcist, Masterly. With your rank, you can't meet Masterly." But Gu Qingfeng nonchalantly suggested, "Why don't you accompany me to meet Masterly when the time comes?" As he reached for his command, He Fenghua grabbed his hand and sternly warned him to leave, saying he needed to report to the Demon Quelling Bureau immediately and couldn't afford any delays. Gu Qingfeng, rubbing his hand, countered, "He Fenghua, are you sure you won't return my exorcism token? I heard everything you said earlier, and I hear you're going to be promoted to Earth Rank Demon Exorcist. Congratulations." He Fenghua was shaken by Gu Qingfeng's words, but he quickly dropped the pretense. "So what if you heard? With your insignificant status, no one will pay attention to your words. It's wise to recognize the situation. I advise you to just quietly let me have the credit." However, Gu Qingfeng unexpectedly took out a loudspeaker and began to shout, "Someone come quick. He Fenghua is trying to steal my credit." He Fenghua, seeing Gu Qingfeng's intention to let the whole Demon Quelling Bureau know, quickly tried to silence him with a piece of paper, but Gu Qingfeng was determined to continue shouting. He Fenghua had no choice but to return the exorcism token to stop him from making more noise. The transfer of the aura of demon deaths hadn't been completed yet, and if the matter was exposed now, it would be irrefutable evidence against him. Not only would he lose the chance to become an Earth-ranked demon exorcist, but he might also lose his current position. He absolutely couldn't let others get involved. But Gu Qingfeng wasn't ready to let the matter rest and began to extort He Fenghua, demanding 100 taels as hush money. He Fenghua, gritting his teeth in anger, handed over a banknote for 100 taels, but Gu Qingfeng shook his head, indicating he wanted gold. Furious, He Fenghua cursed, 100 taels of gold? Why don't you just rob me?" Gu Qingfeng smiled slyly. "That's exactly what I'm doing. Which is more important to you, your future or your money? I believe you can make the right choice." Hearing this, He Fenghua's face darkened with rage, and the thought of silencing Gu Qingfeng crossed his mind. He suddenly pulled out a dagger and stabbed viciously at Gu Qingfeng, but he had forgotten that Gu Qingfeng's greatest strength was his external skills. Not only did the dagger fail to penetrate Gu Qingfeng's defenses, but Gu Qingfeng also grabbed He Fenghua's arm, asking if he had made up his mind about the 100 taels of gold. Enraged, He Fenghua reluctantly reached for the gold while asking Gu Qingfeng why he didn't just rob him. The next moment, Gu Qingfeng punched him in the chest and said indifferently, "What do you think I'm doing? He Fenghua, keep laughing. I won't disturb you anymore. Oh, and be careful with your words next time. I can't guarantee I won't ask for more." He Fenghua was so enraged by Gu Qingfeng's words that he spat out blood and fainted. Looking at He Fenghua passed out on the floor, Gu Qingfeng sighed, "This guy can't take a joke. I wonder if I'll end up being known for angering my superiors to death. Oh well, in light of the money, I guess I'll be merciful and save his life." Saying so, Gu Qingfeng took all of He Fenghua's possessions and then shouted loudly, "Someone come quick. He Fenghua has fainted. Help." The next day, the incident was the talk of the Demon Quelling Bureau, people discussing it everywhere. "I heard He Fenghua tried to steal Gu Qingfeng's credit and got taught a lesson," they said. Even members of the Dark Bureau had arrived. Listening to the discussions, Gu Qingfeng was curious about the Dark Bureau. Fatty Wang quietly explained that the Demon Quelling Bureau had informants everywhere, with not only overt demon exorcists but also covert agents forming the Dark Bureau. While overt demon exorcists were responsible for slaying demons, the Dark Bureau gathered intelligence and monitored for spies or demon exorcists swayed by demons. Gu Qingfeng likened the Dark Bureau to a disciplinary inspection group. He originally spread the news just to ruin He Fenghua's reputation, but ended up with an unexpected gain. Just then, an old man approached Gu Qingfeng, identifying himself as a member of the Dark Bureau, and said, "Masterly of the Heaven-ranked demon exorcists wants to see you. Come with me." Gu Qingfeng cooperated, telling Fatty Wang to call Su Fan, and then followed the old man to meet Masterly. In a dimly lit hall, Li Qianren, sitting at the head, looked gravely at the group. He directly asked Gu Qingfeng, "Do you realize this is a crime of deceiving the emperor?" Gu Qingfeng was puzzled. Why would Masterly say that? Li Qianren continued, "How could the Mirror Demon, one of the 7 demon generals, die at the hands of a mere 4th-level energy-gathering realm martial practitioner? You claim to have defeated him with external skills. But what kind of external skills are so powerful? Several grandmasters who practiced external skills died at the hands of the Mirror Demon 200 years ago. How did you, a yellow-ranked demon exorcist, manage to do it? Please explain so we can learn some life-saving skills." Feeling cornered, Gu Qingfeng nonetheless maintained a composed facade and insisted, "Everything I said is true. I did indeed defeat the Mirror Demon with my external skills." Internally, Gu Qingfeng was planning his next move. Knowing the enemy and knowing yourself ensures victory. Li Qianren then asked them to recount the entire incident. As Gu Qingfeng was about to speak, Li Qianren gestured for Fatty Wang to narrate the events instead. Fatty Wang, though timid, was not stupid. He knew what to say and what not to say to avoid Gu Qingfeng's retribution. He embellished the story, portraying the rash and petty Gu Qingfeng as a hero who outsmarted the 7 demon generals and bravely protected his subordinates. Gu Qingfeng was astounded by Fatty Wang's narration, realizing he was perceived so heroically in his subordinates' eyes. It seemed he had misjudged Fatty Wang, who was actually quite talented. However, 2 Earth-ranked demon exorcists beside Li Qianren raised objections. If it's that easy to win, then what about the grandmasters who practiced external skills and died at the hands of the Mirror Demon 200 years ago? Maybe this is a conspiracy between Gu Qingfeng and the Mirror demon against our demon quelling bureau, they suggested. Li Qianren agreed, fearing a trick by the mirror demon and the blood demon sect. He proposed a physical examination to prove Gu Qingfeng's innocence. Li Qianren, concentrating his true energy realm power into his fingertips, unexpectedly pressed a finger to Gu Qingfeng's forehead and infused strands of true energy into his body. After carefully sensing, Li Qianren opened his eyes, shocked. He hadn't expected Gu Qingfeng to be practicing so many external skills, making him a genuine talent in that area. After the examination, Li Qianren concluded that Gu Qingfeng's claims were likely true. One of the Earth-ranked demon exorcists stood up, asking how Li Qianren would explain this to their superiors. How could a yellow-ranked demon exorcist do what several grandmasters couldn't? Li Qianren explained that external skills, which focus on the physical body, belong to the bright aspect, while the soul is dark. Since external skills strengthen the body with bright energy, and the mirror demon's domain is dark, there is a conflict between dark and bright. Therefore, the mirror demon couldn't completely replicate Gu Qingfeng's level of external skill proficiency, allowing him to defeat the mirror demon. Gu Qingfeng sighed in relief, thinking to himself that Li Qianren's explanation made sense. He's right. Besides that, I can't think of any other reason. It sounds so serious. I almost believed it myself, he thought. However, one of the Earth-ranked demon exorcists raised another objection, questioning why the grandmasters who practiced external skills couldn't defeat the mirror demon. Upon uttering these words, he immediately received a scolding from Li Qianren. Foolish, you're already a half-step grandmaster, yet you can't even comprehend this. Once you enter the grandmaster realm, you have fierce energy to protect your body. Practicing golden bell shield and iron cloth robe won't enhance your strength. Against a clone, this slight advantage is negligible. The Earth-ranked demon exorcist had an epiphany and thanked Li Qianren for the clarification. Gu Qingfeng gave Li Qianren a thumbs up, internally praising him as a master of logic. Just when the other two Earth-ranked demon exorcists seemed convinced, Li Qianren suddenly suggested that the mirror demon might not have been killed by Gu Qingfeng after all, leaving Gu Qingfeng speechless, wondering if Li Qianren was overthinking things or just playing mind games. Li Qianren continued with his analysis. As far as I know, besides the ability to replicate, the mirror demon also possesses a skill called mirror image invasion. It's like spirit possession, turning someone into a mirror slave. Only a grandmaster can resist this because of their strong soul power. This is why the Demon Quelling Bureau dispatched 10 half-step grandmaster level talents to confront the mirror demon. Now, the Gu Qingfeng standing before us. How can he prove he's not a mirror slave? The atmosphere tensed up instantly. The two Earth-ranked demon exorcists beside Li Qianren readied their weapons, warily eyeing Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng was confused, unsure of how to explain himself. You're so good at making up stories. Why can't you come up with an explanation for me? He thought, but he couldn't reveal the existence of the system. Facing these grandmaster level experts, escape was not an option. He had to come up with an explanation, and if that failed, he was prepared to fight to the end. With his numerous skills and soul power on par with a grandmaster, Gu Qingfeng thought of using soul power as his explanation. He earnestly said, Masterly, I don't know what mirror image invasion is, but the mirror demon did launch a strange attack on me just before he died. He possessed my replica, and then turned into a stream of light that entered my body. He tried to kill my soul and take over my body. In self-defense, I inadvertently killed him with my soul power. The female Earth-ranked demon exorcist didn't believe Gu Qingfeng's story and was ready to act, but Li Qianren interrupted her. Whether he's telling the truth or not, I'll find out with a test. Li Qianren then unleashed a powerful surge of soul power and attacked Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng stood his ground, and his body also erupted with soul power on par with a grandmaster, blocking Li Qianren's attack. The collision of their soul powers instantly filled the entire hall. The weaker Fatty Wong and Su Fan were even blown away by the shockwave. Seeing this, Li Qianren was astonished, unable to believe that Gu Qingfeng, only a 4th-level energy-gathering realm practitioner, had soul power comparable to a grandmaster. What kind of monster is he? Afterward, Li Qianren ceased his aggression, acknowledging, your soul power is not weaker than mine, and your aura is calm and pure, free of any demonic energy. It seems you were telling the truth. The two Earth-ranked demon exorcists were also delighted. Since Gu Qingfeng was not lying, the immense credit could be reported truthfully to the court. The Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau could finally hold its head high among its peers. Moreover, they had discovered a talent with soul power far exceeding the average person, a significant gain indeed. Seeing the drastic change in attitudes, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but internally criticize their fickleness. These old guys change their faces faster than flipping a book, he thought. Li Qianren then announced generously, since everything is confirmed, we shall reward accordingly. Gu Qingfeng, you are promoted 1 rank, awarded 1,000 taels of gold, and 1 million merit points. This is your reward from the Demon Quelling Bureau internally. Once reported to the court will grant you additional rewards. At such a young age, you have achieved so much. You are destined for greatness. Gu Qingfeng was ecstatic. This is a real windfall. Merit points were the internal currency of the Great Flame Dynasty Demon Quelling Bureau, accepted in all branches, usually earned through missions and demon slaying. These points could be exchanged for materials at the Demon Quelling Bureau Contribution Hall. They could also be used to obtain items not available for purchase elsewhere. Killing an innate realm demon earned 100,000 merit points, so 1 million was equivalent to slaying 10 such demons, highlighting its immense value. However, his joy was briefly interrupted when the female demon exorcist questioned if 1,000,000 merit points were too much for Gu Qingfeng, who was only at the 4th level of the energy gathering realm. Li Qianren coldly replied, "If you can kill a 7 demon generals level demon, your reward would be even more than Gu Qingfeng's." The woman quickly backed down, and she and another demon exorcist prudently left with Fatty Wang and Su Fan. After their departure, Li Qianren warned Gu Qingfeng, "From today, your name will be known throughout the dynasty. But fame often brings trouble, especially when you're only at the 4th level of the energy gathering realm. People will envy and resent you, but they won't respect you. Although you possess outstanding physical and soul talents, your energy cultivation talent is lacking, meaning you won't reach the Grandmaster level. Paths like the Way of the Pill, the Way of the Talisman, and the Way of the Formation all require strong soul power, which you have. I've kept you here to ask if you're willing to pursue these paths." Gu Qingfeng, interested, asked which path Li Qianren thought he should choose. Without hesitation, Li Qianren recommended the Way of the Pill. "Though it's the most popular, I'm suggesting the Way of the Pill because I have a task for you. If you can complete it, you'll gain a status and wealth far beyond a Grandmaster, even without reaching that level. Your task is to enter the Jade Dragon secret realm and retrieve the Eternal Youth Pill for the Emperor."